everyone, how's it going? Sorry about the glitch and everything. Let me just get that screen fixed up and we should be good to start for real this time. I apologize. If you missed the first little bit, we had a little bit of a glitch. My program just started with a weird thing that happens sometimes, so I had to restart my program. But we're all good now, so welcome everyone. Like I said, this is the first Tinfoil Tuesday of the new year. Very excited to look at a bunch of conspiracies with y'all. We are going to be doing bingo, so if you want, make sure you get your bingo card ready. Use the bingo card command, !bingo, and you'll be able to play along with Tinfoil Tuesday bingo with us. Winner of that, the first winner at least, gets a gift sub, so should be good. All right. Christopher B says, I'm going on a big data hoarding media preservation kick of late. Any lesser known movies, shows, books, music you want more to be done to keep around? Neil Breen films! Make sure you save Neil Breen's films. They're masterpieces. We are still on a hype train, 27% to level 2 on the hype train. Thanks, people, for keeping that going while I was gone. Unstable Deadbeat, thanks for 50 bits. Rico59, thank you for a 100 stream streak. Unstable Deadbeat, thanks for gifting a sub, and I think that catches us up. Anyone else see Bill Pulte was alongside Kevin O'Leary meeting Trump at Mar-a-Lago? Yeah, I saw he also went to some of the, like, election events, campaign events and stuff. Yeah, he donated to the Trump campaign, Pulte, unsurprisingly. 55% to level 2 on the hype train. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna do a whole bunch of stuff today. We have a bunch of conspiracy stuff. Should be good. Hey, Will Kale. What's up? Yeah, get that music turned off and we'll get started. Ire just says, just had my first day as a technician in an archaeology lab. Let the first tinfoil of the new year commence. That sounds great. That sounds like a cool job. Glad that I can be with you in spirit. So anyway, let's go ahead and start off this year with our first tinfoil. This guy in his office talking about an old muscle magazine he had lying around for no particular reason. But don't worry, chat! This isn't homoerotic. He just has this magazine around so he can talk about whether or not these men are respecting their bodies enough for the Lord. Anyway, let's watch this.
Hey guys, it's Matt. I dug this book out, I guess about 2 years ago. I knew I had it somewhere. Had it since the mid-'80s, mostly for a Mandela effect reason, to check how they have Franco Columbu listed. Franco Columbu, but that's not the purpose of this video. We'll talk about that some other time.
Did he save a magazine for 20 years because of a typo?
100% accurate effect for me. I'm sorry, sir. Your name, you don't even know your own name. It was never Columbu, but we'll talk about that some other time. I want to talk about, the two selves, the two sides of the Vitruvian man, the spiritual self. And
are we adding doesn't realize their problem is global warming for fog idiots? No, that would be a good one, though. We're going to be getting, I'm going to add some new stuff and take some old stuff off the bingo cards. Sometime this month, new year, new cards. So that'll probably be on it. Minute left in the hype train.
This side of self attached to the body, the physical.
Did I see Dave McKeegan as a video that shows Witsit did vape? Flat Earth confirmed. That's hilarious.
I mean, to me, I used to be into this. I mean, I admit, in my teens, I never took steroids or anything like that. In my early 20s, when I was at Penn State, heavy lifting. And, we're young people. I'll give myself a pass. But this is the ultimate form of attaching to one side of the Vitruvian man. Not that these people, I'm sure there's some that also have a spiritual side to them, that it's not all or none. I'm sure most of them probably lack the spiritual side or don't have the Vitruvian man equally balanced. But, you can't lump all of them into the same bucket. But, oh, by the way, don't give me any crap.
I'm sorry. I know I'm full of shit here, but I just find it comical, and on some level, it makes me feel like he's keeping this magazine around just because he wants to look at these muscly, rippled dudes. That's a broad joke. It's a broad joke. And it's a very 90s joke. And that's 30 years ago. But on some level, I find it a little suspicious that this man keeps around this muscle magazine he's had since he was a teenager. Specifically so we can talk about, oh, are they honoring God? I don't know. Am I crazy? Am I crazy for thinking this is sus? Whatever. Icky Neko, thanks for gifting a sub. Thanks for the hype train, everyone.
About the phone. I reject technology. I found this phone at the Goodwill from the 80s or something. I love it. I mean, it's got gigantic numbers like the jitterbug. I reject technology. I reject unless the technology I have to use to keep this channel going. But
he rejects technology but accepts these chiseled dudes.
This is the ultimate form of narcissism. And with the steroids and the diuretics and the laxatives, it's unsafe. And
yes, and I would agree that inherently there is a level of unsafe. It's not good for your body to be a bodybuilder. You do when you're like doing a show or whatever. You dehydrate yourself to make the muscles more like visible or whatever. No, it's not necessarily good for you, but like that's their life, man. That's fine. If that's a risk they want to take to like perfect their bodies in a way that they want, good for them. Not my thing, but I can respect it. Why do we care so much about what other people do? I don't care. Phyllis Filler says, Captain, my gaydar is detecting cloak homoeroticism off the port bow.
For the most part, it's exactly the type of activity that Not Nilk wants everybody doing. Again, this guy could be the most spiritual guy in the world. I can't lump them all together. But would you say most of these men here are putting the spiritual side first, or in a harmony and a balance? It's
you
not
have
like
no idea.
I respect my body. We have a symbiotic relationship. I talk to my body all the time.
Did he just say he's in a symbiotic relationship with his body? That's not what symbiosis means. You just are your body.
I told you I don't want to be gross, but my body responds to when I say, we're going out, body. Going out for 2 hours. Can't be doing that right now. Oh, it listens. No, I'm not joking.
What?
But this is the ultimate...
Can't do what right now? Wait, what?
I told you I don't want to be gross, but my body responds to when I say, we're going out, body. Going out for 2 hours. Can't be doing that right now. Oh, it listens. No, I'm not joking.
I can't tell if he's like talking about like, oh, I have to use the bathroom, but I'll tell my body I won't. Because that's one kind of weird, because, like, if you gotta poop, you should poop. The other kind of weird is that he is implying that it is some sort of, like, Herculean strength that sometimes he's horny and wants to masturbate, but have, like, errands he needs to go do. And he's like, no, body, not right now. We can't be gooning right now, body. We gotta go buy bread, or whatever this guy does. Like, what?
But this is the ultimate form of narcissism and the love of self, but the wrong self. We're gonna... This really put me over the top in terms of making this video and this picture here. This was Larry Scott, I think his name is, the first Mr. Olympia. I mean, of course they're into their bodies, they love looking in the mirror, but then to wear a t-shirt about yourself, it says, what does it say? Larry Legend. Larry Legend, his t-shirt says Mr. Olympia. So you're looking at yourself, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, but then you're also wearing a t-shirt about yourself. I wear Not Milk stuff that people send me. That's not about myself. I mean, that is the ultimate narcissism. We'll talk about it in this video. We haven't talked about this for a while, and it is very appropriate here in our bodybuilding discussion. The Vitruvian Man from Leonardo DiCaprio da Vinci, to me, provides...
I don't know why he's associating the two, other than, Leonardo. I don't know why he did that. Don't ask me.
A pictorial representation of one of the most important things to strive for in life, a balance between the spiritual side and the
We
material.
did learn. I like how my stream topics end up folding into each other quite randomly. As we learned on the VHS Vault in our Hangin' with Leo tape, I do believe his mother did name him after Leonardo da Vinci. So that's not incorrect.
Side and the parts
We're really, it's a holistic study program here at the Hannah Reloaded channel. We learn a lot about the specifics of Leonardo DiCaprio's life and how it relates to this man's particular delusions.
of us that are rooted to this place, brainwashed by this place, the hard-on, the ego mind, the part of us that thinks in English,
I'm sorry, the what?
The hard-on to this place, brainwashed by this place, the hard-on, the ego mind, the part of us that thinks in English. The idea, in my opinion,
Not even a Freudian slip? That's not a slip. That's just, he just said, whatever. We got a lot of topics today. Keep moving.
it's very simple. Everything always comes back to the very simple, is to balance. The monks that go up on a mountaintop and their monasteries and they hum all day long. I don't know what they do. Or they got Silas in the Da Vinci Code who whipped himself, and taking it too far is.
Does this man believe that Dan Brown's depictions in the Da Vinci Code are accurate? I'm not gonna lie. I like the Da Vinci Code. I like the book. I like the movie. I like the movie series. I haven't read the other Dan Brown books. But, like, it's not realistic. It's trash. It's absolute fucking trash. Please don't read Dan Brown novels and take them seriously.
Is wrong too. Having the spiritual side dominate, that's wrong. We're here, and one of the most important things in life, in my opinion, is to bring a balance to it. Not to pretend the physical doesn't exist and take on a life of celibacy. That's not why we're here. It's ridiculous. A balance is why we're here.
Who brought up celibacy? Again, is this guy spiraling because of his, like, underlying homosexual tendencies?
If you can balance the spiritual side with the physical, you've really done something in life. Of course, the not milk at this point has convinced 95% of the population the spiritual side doesn't even exist. So over the years, I've thrown out a bunch of bad descriptors, like the Vitruvian man has lost an arm or had an arm ripped off by the wolf in the Bible that tried to lie down with the lamb, or gnawed his own arm off. That's what most people do. The not-know can't do it to you directly. You have to gnaw your own spiritual arm off. Matt, is that what they say is a possible interpretation of this most famous drawing from Leonardo DiCaprio, one of the most famous of all time? I never heard that one, Matt. Where did you... I have no idea.
He does have his arms out. Maybe the Vitruvian man is saying he's the king of the world. We'd have no way of knowing. This isn't a talking painting. It's a silent.
What Leonardo da Vinci's intention was, I have no idea.
I'm in a weird mood today, chat, by the way. I apologize for all the attempts at humor today. They're going to be real rough.
If he wrote notes about it, or it's just the interpretation of academia or those in the university research parks. If we know his exact intention via his own notes, I don't care what he wants.
University Research Park. We'll call that doesn't understand how the scientific method works on the bingo card, implying that, like, academic research is fake, is controlled opposition, is a you get it.
Wants to express through it. I know the mathematical people like it because,
Am I getting meds soon? Hopefully. We do have insurance now, so that's fucking awesome.
Geometrical, and I don't understand math. I don't understand none of it. My mind works.
A few minutes behind, so they might already have been mentioned before, but Franco Columbu's name is in fact Franco Columbu, according to both Wikipedia and IMDb. Okay, that's weird then. Did he just misremembered? I mean, I guess that is what a Mandela effect is. He misremembered something and gave a supernatural or paranormal, at least, explanation.
I think I got very good score on the English side of the SATs, and on the math, I just guessed. I just pulled out an 8-ball, and I have no idea how that stuff works in math. No idea what I'm doing. It expresses phi or pi. I don't even know the difference between them. I don't understand none of it. But to me, it expresses the two sides of man in balance. I have no idea what Leonardo intended. This sounds arrogant, but it's not from me. It's from Humpty Dumpty in Alice in Wonderland. He told Alice the meaning, whatever I just said. He goes, Alice, it means what I say it means. I like that. We got to go back and do a whole video on that. It doesn't matter what Leonardo intended. It doesn't matter what Sarah McLachlan intended via her writing. If you take a message from it, it means what you say it means. You can get
Words. No, this is a. Why is he talking? I'm trying to figure out, is this word salad yet? Weirdly, when he got to Sarah McLachlan, that's when I went word salad. I don't know why. When he said Sarah McLachlan, my brain said word salad. Like word salad on wedding day.
get the message, and the artist
Hey Amber, how's it going?
or the drawer, is that
We'll call this word salad. We'll call it word salad. That's fine.
a word? Or whoever that put the work of art down or the song down, they might have no idea the message that you take away from it, and that's fine. That message still might be completely valid, just as valid as the artist's intention. Now, a few notes before we get started. This book was probably written...
I'm sorry, I hate to bring this up, but this guy looks like the most like a Stretch Armstrong any real human has ever looked to a Stretch Armstrong. Like, it looks like someone did, like, you know the movie Life Size with Tyra Banks? It's like someone did a Life Size, but on Stretch Armstrong. Oh no, oh no. I'm very intent on cracking myself up today. That's a bad sign.
Early 80s. And
he does look a little bit like Rocky from Rocky Horror Picture Show, too. Just a little bit. He looks like he's Rocky from Rocky Horror if he had, like, an ultimate mode. Like, if he had a sexy battleizer.
Some pictures were taken in the mid to late 70s. So some of these bodybuilders look somewhat normal compared to these what's called mass monsters of today. I mean, this is Tom Platz, one of the original mass monsters. His legs, the leg development was so absurd for the day. You remember in high school, we just went, that's not even possible. And his jaw, it seemed like his jaw got like huge and square. We used to say, this is no joke, we used to say, those that followed bodybuilding and weightlifted, he was taking some sort of, not just steroids, we used to say in high school he was taking gorilla pills. I'm not in any way kidding, like somehow harnessing the testosterone of a gorilla. We were not joking. He was taking gorilla pills. His jaw got in. But this is all from the human growth hormone they take, the steroids.
The Robert Zadar pills.
Everything gets thick. That's why the buttocks gets huge. The buttocks in a squat is a muscle. And the waist typically in most bodybuilders gets thick because the oblique muscles down the side of the abs get thick. And the muscles of the mouth are huge. The jaw is very strong. Those muscles, everything gets big and thick.
Why does he know so much about bodybuilding? Like, he's not a bodybuilder, right? He knows a lot about this. This is kind of odd.
And some bodybuilders, it's more noticeable than others. It was very noticeable in Tom.
Good day for Hannah Dies a Laughter, if that's still on the card. Oh, it's going to get me at some point today. I'm already loopy. I don't know if I've not been sleeping well or what. But I'm like one thing away. Something's going to set me off. I don't know what it is, but it's going to happen.
Platz. And the proviso here is, again, some of these bodybuilders, a few here, we'll look at a few pictures, a few may be very spiritual people, and they actually use the intense workouts almost in a spiritual way. But is that the norm, really? I don't think that's the norm. I remember what my mindset was in high school, in college, in my early 20s, bodybuilding, and used to order these programs at the back of the Muscle and Fitness magazine.
Okay, so he did used to weight lift. Why is he weird about this then?
Just what was in Muscle and Fitness. Get 6-pack abs. Oh, $10.95. Let's order this program. I'm gonna have 6-pack abs. And then I'm trying to, as I'm eating more, because the bodybuilding routines say eat like 100 grams of protein a day, eat 5 pieces of chicken, eat 5 steaks, eating and eating. I'm just getting fatter and fatter in my guts. And then these 6-pack abs aren't working. This is just giant gut. I was strong. I was getting strong with squatting and bench pressing, but I had no idea what I was doing. Where are the 6-pack abs? And then the more oblique work you do, the side to side on the abs, the muscles down the side, it just makes you look fatter because it pushes out your love handles. I'm not even joking. Now, Frank Zane, who won the Mr. Olympia in the early 80s, maybe late 70s, he was the last
That's
Mr.
why there's a difference between a strongman competition and a bodybuilding competition. If you ever look at the strongman competitions, the dudes are built very different than this. In like a strongman competition, the dudes are built like very heavy center of mass. Almost like God of War, Thor. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Like a low center of gravity, really, really built. You know what I mean? And they don't look like this. This is its own thing. This is a visual thing, not a physical strength thing. Yeah, like a barrel.
Olympia that looked normal, where almost every guy would say, yeah, I want to look like that.
Like
no
if you
doubt.
want to be a bodybuilder, this is a combination of like muscle building and very low body fat percentage.
About it.
Like to an unhealthy degree. Like their body fat percentage is incredibly low. Like it's an unhealthfully low, and they dehydrate on the days of shows because it like makes the muscles more like prevalent. Sorry. We're spending a lot of time on this video. I just find it hilarious.
There were mass monsters that started to come around him even while he was winning the Mr. Olympia. I think he won it twice. But the judging still judged on things that like you and I would judge. Symmetry, good looks. The judging was still somewhat normal. See, this has been ruined like everything else, like college football, like every sport has been ruined. Golf even has been ruined because the Saudis came in and started their own league and said to Phil Mickelson, oh, all you famous stars, come with us and we'll pay you hundreds of millions of dollars a month. It's absurd salaries. So everything's been ruined, of course. Bodybuilding.
What? I felt like there was like weirdness in there. What the fuck?
Never talked about it, but of course that's been ruined. This, I mean, yes, was Frank Zane on some sort of steroid here? They all are, absolutely.
I mean, probably.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later, and I'll show you, or how Joe...
Okay, I think I'm done with this guy talking about the weirdness of bodybuilding. The reason that's on Tinfoil, by the way, is he is a conspiracy theorist, broadly. Now we're on to something more important, though, and that's the titular topic of this video. Like I got a hair in my mouth. Can't hear. Got it. And that is the Harley Quinn fart comic. The Harley Quinn fart comic.
Please give me strength for the video I now have to do.
Wow, that's basically what I say before every single video, too. Thank you to Matthew for sending this to my attention. Let me tell you what the subject matter is, just using this as an example so I don't lose your attention or interest.
So, I don't know what this conspiracy theorist is going to say on it, but I had to bring up this video because apparently for an April Fool's Day joke, DC is doing a Harley Quinn fart comic. Do we have CC for this video? Unfortunately, no. And, I only found this out from this news story. Apparently there is a specific subgenre of material on the internet that involves Harley Quinn flatulating. So them basically acknowledging this with the comic is weird, and this conspiracy theorist is gonna say something about it. Who knows?
This is another conversation as to how this reality works. Very few people in this reality are...
See, like, it is an April Fool's Day joke, but they're also doing it. They're also doing it, though. Like, they are also producing what is effectively a thinly veiled fart porn comic as a joke. So, you know, like, that's we call that lampshading in the business. How do we make money off all these weirdos into the Harley Quinn fart porn? I'll release it in an April Fool's joke. Wink, wink. It's a joke. It's a joke. Get it? That way you can walk into your local comic book shop and buy the officially produced by Warner Brothers Harley Quinn fart pornography comic. And it's not weird. Wink, wink. Because it's a joke. It's April Fool's. It's a joke, everyone. Scratch and sniff.
are in on it. Very few are plotting and planning all the dastardly deeds that the first grade truther thinks they are. This reality promotes the insane to positions of power. Most that get promoted...
Is there something wrong with my eye? Yeah, Harley Quinn farted in it, and I think I have pink eye.
Believe they're there on their own merits. No, the reality promotes those that are going to send it into chaos. This one example, there's thousands or millions we could look at. This woman's talking about a new DC comic where Harley Quinn farts a lot. It's actually for those with a fart fetish, some sort of sexual gratification from farting. I kid you not.
Nerdy says there are Saudi-related issues around the sports ball, but personally not the way that guy thought there were. Yeah, I always find it interesting, because you can talk about, like, actual incentives or the problems of a regime that, like, is pro-slavery, doing business with, like, the United States and within the United States, but his whole vibe was just like, oh, ew, they're from another country. Which is unfortunate.
This is a fart fetish comic. And for those of you out there who have innocent minds and might not know what the word fetish means, it means, according to the dictionary, a form of sexual desire in which gratification is strongly linked to a particular object or activity or a part of the body other than the sexual organs. Yes, I said that this was going to be a video not for kids. But I've long known what the word fetish means, but I became well acquainted with the word and used it quite often, frequently in my vocabulary, as a year or so ago I actually had to review DC Comics for a couple years for a website, and
Can I just point out that the conspiracy theorist has almost 100,000 subscribers, and they don't know how to, like, get a video like this without doubling the audio? Be clear, I'm not the one doubling the audio. They are.
Started using the word fetish to describe what I was seeing a whole lot, which is going to lead into what I have to offer in the discussion of this video. But yes, this is a fetish comic that DC is releasing with Harley Quinn, and they are well aware of it, as the official description of the comic reads in the handbook that announced it, calling all sickos. So they know this is a comic released for gooners and whatnot. They know exactly what they are doing with this comic.
Gooner? What did she say? I'm not even going to look that up. I don't know what that word means.
I don't believe that you don't know what gooner means in 2025. In 2020, in 2021, in 2022, I could believe you don't know what gooner means. I do not believe that if you are on the internet, much less making videos on the internet in 2025, you're telling me you've never heard the term gooner. You're lying. You're lying to me. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to the Lord. Okay? So knock it off. You're not holy because you're pretending you don't know what gooning is.
This person that Matthew sent to my attention, I kind of like this person. But, yeah, it's...
Do I ever think I put in too much effort? No, I'm putting in the exact amount of effort that I deserve to put in for the output that I get.
Harley Quinn, who's, if you don't know, is DC Comics related to the Joker and Batman. Comics go back, or this villain goes back a long way in the DC comic universe. But this one is about, I don't really care to buy it or anything. I don't know how they're going to use the fart to put forth the comic. But we'll continue with a discussion on how this reality works, who's in.
Ashley One Up says, well then, thank you for the effort you put into your streams. Thanks.
On it, but a point of clarification needs to be made. But let's read this together first. From Joanne Starrer, who created the comic just a few days ago. My new book stinks. Literally. Harley Quinn Fartacular, silent but deadly. If you're driving a big rig, silent B-U-T-T, deadly, is coming 3/26/25. And not only does it have gorgeous art by Branton Steen, it got 40 glorious rub and smell pages. Rub and
Wait, all of the pages are scratch and sniff? It's not even like just one big like money shot page? 40 scratch and sniff. Are there even 40 different smells of farts that you could do?
Smell. You don't think like those old Vogue magazines my cousin used to have down the shore where it was like a perfume ad and you'd rub it, you'd scratch and sniff. And what'd you sniff in that magazine?
That book is going to have to be sealed before they sell it. Every comic book shop in the country is going to smell like Harley Quinn's shit.
In format, you don't think they would actually, I don't know. We're going to have fun with this, guys, but we can't lose sight as to the main reason behind this video. This is not an entertainment channel.
How is this an April Fool's if it comes out in March? I heard other people say that. In fairness, comic book polls always come out the same day. So the reason it's coming out on the 26th or whatever is because that's the day that the new, like, comics release. And they want it to come out the week prior, not the week after. So that's why. It's because all of the comics typically come in on the same day and release on the same day. So you can't really have one that comes out on an off day. That's why.
Reality works has to be a big part of everything presented.
Same for like video, well, not as much these days, but historically, ever since Sonic the Hedgehog 2 came out, media releases of both like DVDs and video games historically since the 90s always came out on Tuesdays. That stopped happening in the last 5 years. Now often they'll come out on Fridays, and there's also the schemes where it's like, oh, pre-order and you get to play 3 days early or whatever, which throws it off, and a lot of stuff's digital. But historically, over the last like 30 years, there is usually a day of the week that stores will release a specific kind of media.
So in terms of, let's just say nobody's in on that clarification I promised earlier. Sure, are they, in a sick way, are they trying to appeal to those with fetishes? And in the back room saying, to anybody that questions it, we could say, oh, it's just fun. Why
Have I ever been in a comic book shop? The smell would barely be noteworthy in some of them. I'm apparently lucky with my local comic shop. My local comic shop is very nice. It's very nice and clean. And doesn't smell bad, and the people are nice. So I guess I'm lucky.
You so uptight, you know. But maybe it is, according to this person making this presentation, it is like targeting those with the fetish. Now at that level, that is sinister. That is dastardly.
When is the Captain America puppy play comic coming out?
In terms of, do they realize their role for not
keeping the jokes in? That actually, that makes sense. Captain America became a werewolf once. So that does pan out, kind of.
Milk for the frequency and download and just creating the overall chaos that is flushing society in general down the toilet. They don't understand the role for not milk, where everything has to go downward, lower in frequency, towards chaos. That they don't, there's no secrets.
I'm sorry, are farts low frequency? Farts are chaotic, low-frequency energy by conspiracy definitions? That's good to know. What about burps? Are all forms of bodily gases the same level of frequency, or are burps higher because they come from the top hole?
Society's coming in.
Vibes-based conspiracy, yeah. Vibes-based conspiracy on the bingo card.
And saying, we need this comment.
I'm sorry for how disgusting this episode has been. After this video, it'll be normal stuff, I promise.
A Harley Quinn comic about farts. In a way, it is sick and in a way almost evil. Like creating this is kids will buy this, but in a way,
probably not. Harley Quinn's not really a kid's character. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are some kids who like Harley Quinn, but like the solo Harley Quinn books are not children's comics typically. At minimum, they're usually rated like teen, the comic rating equivalent of teen. Along those lines,
you know, though really targeting those that may have a fetish. That's sick. And
not all comics are for kids. Yeah, that's a problem that a lot of conspiracy theorists have. Is they'll see something in a cartoon or in a comic book, and it's a cartoon or comic book aimed at like adults or even teens, and they'll go, "This is inappropriate for children," because in their head they see a cartoon or a comic book. And in their head, the average age of someone who reads a comic book or watches a cartoon is 5 years old. So, to them, you gotta know they look at this and go, children! They're doing this for children! And it's like, I doubt it. No, they're not. It's for horny comic book guys. Icky Neko, can I see your bingo card? That's an incredibly fast bingo. Holy shit. We get a bingo in the first 30 minutes?
Dastardly. But that's
How would that even be possible? Let's take a look. Word salad, vibes-based conspiracy, free space, misunderstanding of the scientific method. One of our cats makes a guest appearance. You did it. Holy shit, that's like the quickest, that's the quickest bingo we've ever gotten. That's insane. Congrats, let me write your name down. Give me 1 sec to write it down, and then we'll continue. So that's our official bingo winner of the day. Nicky. Echo. Give it away. Easy enough. Can do.
only a first level of in on it. In terms of not milk in on it, no, they're not. Neither is my opinion goes on Kathleen Kennedy at those at Disney. They have no idea how they're serving not milk. Most at Disney that create Star Wars are trying their best. But remember, the not milk has put...
I'm sorry, he's under the impression that the quality of Star Wars films that he perceives to be lackluster are part of a global conspiracy. Woof. Gamergate really just, like, poisoned the brains of, like, a lot of young men, didn't it? Oh, boy. Kathleen Kennedy is destroying Star Wars! It's part of the New World Order! Yeah, I don't know the not milk thing. I'm not familiar. I'll let you know if I find out.
Put people into positions of power, decision makers, top artists and designers at Disney, those that will put the final product out to the theater. It has promoted the insane. It has promoted those that will, without even knowing it, push its own agenda, those that are on the frequency. Again, we have our love-hate relationship with the first grade truther. The love side is we appreciate them calling it out, saying this is not, something's not right with the world here, or this looks fake, or not just going along with everything like everybody on the ship of fools does. The hate side is they always just run back to the same thing. Secret societies, everything's plotted and planned in smoking rooms. I haven't done that. Haven't talked about the smoking rooms for a while, or throwing the rubber duckies. We're going to get back to that. Everything's plotted and planned. Matt, you don't understand what the Council on Foreign Relations working with Tavistock can do. No, that's not how the reality and the dark reality accomplishes all the tens of thousands of things it does to slide society and culture down into the gutter. Here's the group on the Alkalite. I guess there's some actresses or actors. I guess you have to call them actors now. Leslie Headland on the left. At this level, they're trying their best. There's Leslie Headland, please. Yes, can I help you? Well, she doesn't speak. Yes, can I help you? Yes, this is a certain secret society. You may have never heard of.
Does he think Disney owns DC? As far as he's concerned, they're all part of the same thing. These are not separate companies to him. They're different arms of the same evil, all-encompassing global entity. They're tentacles of a Leviathan, a Hydra. Phyllis Filler says, these people are so terminally incurious. They see someone enjoying something they find repulsive, and rather than trying to understand why, they chalk it up to EVIL. Evil! Yeah. Like, I don't like everything that's come out of Star Wars in the last 10 years. Some of it I think is great. Some of it's just okay. Some of it I don't find entertaining. But it's not evil. It's literally just a product being put out by a company. You don't have to like it. Getting this emotionally invested in the product of a large multinational corporation is not healthy.
Of us, but we basically tell the president what to do. You're trying your best on the Alkalite, and your
green guy with a $3 tip says, "Hey Hannah, we're trying to catch up, but are you in a good mood, bad mood, or just ate a lot of sugar?" I'm in a meh mood. I had electrolysis yesterday, and it went really bad. Like, I mean, it did well, but like, you can't see under the makeup probably, or at least not as much as you would normally. But you see the color difference here? It looks like I got terribly sunburned. Now, that's all the electrolysis stuff. So I'm just uncomfy, and I'm tired. I apologize. I'm not trying to be shitty. Sorry.
Star Wars shit productions. You need to make them...
And I have makeup on my neck! This is paler than it actually is. I lightened this shit up.
Bad on purpose.
Like The Last Jedi, which was terrible. See, I like Last Jedi. That's one of the ones I actually like.
What? No, make them bad on purpose. That nobody has to tell her this. She's promoted to a position of power. The not milk, whatever that means, knows she will fail, knows she will send it all into the gutter. She's trying her best. Every freak that you're looking at here is trying their best. But the not milk promotes the insane and, at the very minimum, the incompetent into positions of power. If you've been at a certain job and everybody around you gets the promotion or whatever you may do, and you've been kept down, that's not an excuse. Then this reality keeps real people down. That's real. The insane get promoted. You did everything you could. It's not your fault. Matt, would you consider it to be a fantasy of yours to be stranded on a deserted island with these 5 prominent stars from the Alkali? I'd rather be on a deserted island with Mrs. Howe alone. Further,
what is it with dudes like this who are incredibly misogynistic, like preemptively implying about a bunch of women that are conventionally attractive, but they don't like them? Oh, I wouldn't sleep with you if you're the last woman on Earth. No one asked, man. There are a bunch of, like models and actresses. I don't think they'd be into you. Like, what is this? Feels like it's trying to symbolically take power from them by insulting their looks, which I presume to him is their only value. That's pathetic, man. That's real pathetic. Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, do you think of something else for tip goals since we got a whole year of costumes? Puppets? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. You seem very into the puppet thing. You're like the key tipper. So I will certainly take that into account. Golden Loki, thanks for resubscribing for 2 months.
point of clarification, guys, me just throwing
hey,
out that the not
how's it going? Altered Undying says, hey, I hope you enjoyed the stuff I sent you. I thought you would really enjoy the god based on you having servants turn into cats to find information. I do. That shit's awesome. I saw that.
Promotes the insane into position.
I have to buy Disney. I will. Someone give me billions and billions of dollars and I will do it.
Positions of power and prominence. That's not detailed enough. It may promote liberal activism and complete wackos that have agendas, whatever it may need to introduce the chaos and to also destroy all that was once good. You know, we have that new series now.
I'll destroy all that was once good. Sir, we're talking about a sci-fi franchise made for teenagers 50 years ago. If you believe that a sci-fi franchise made for teenagers 50 years ago is a linchpin of society, you need a CAT scan. Please, get some perspective on everything. Star Wars could get sucked into a black hole, and it wouldn't matter. They're fucking movies, man. Get over it. Jesus Christ. Obsessing over these films isn't going to make your sad life better. Trey says, part of it is the kind of misogynist belief that at a fundamental level, all women's value in society comes directly from their looks, even when it doesn't. So to people like him, it's a way of taking back perceived power and putting... Sorry, the thing scrolled. Taking back perceived power and putting them in what he perceives to be the correct societal ranking. Yeah. Harold Elbelman with a 25 stream streak says, I'm not good. Our beloved son, Mr. Gomez Adams, is staring resolutely at the Rainbow Bridge, and he'll likely cross tonight, maybe tomorrow. I'm just broken. My wife too. Fuck cancer, fuck lymphoma in particular. It may be away for a bit, or I'll even be more chatty. No idea. I just had to tell y'all because, though I want to be here and pretend it's not coming, saying nothing feels like lying, I'm going to hold my wife and cry a bit. Sorry about what I've done to the mood. No, it's fine. We care about you, Harold Elbelman. Sorry.
The destruction of everything. It will always weave in.
Oh, and there's another thing. Gamerg with 20 months says, found this old video talking about aliens in the Bible. I'm not sure how interesting it is, but it's worth checking out for content. Thank you. We'll take a look at that later. Okay. Sorry for being so disheveled today, by the way. Not feeling focused. Apologies.
Agendas, putting people that just can't resist, basically people that are very close to the legal term of insanity, they have to weave in their damn agendas. They just can't help themselves, which destroys the original work.
Let's get into the description. This is a book.
I don't even understand what he's trying to allude to there. We started out talking about Harley Quinn fart fetish porn, and now he's complaining about Star Wars. Miss Quilanius, thanks for 42 months, says, was gonna send a jokey message, but now instead, let's just say fuck cancer. Fuck cancer.
Written by Joanne Starer, who thought it was a great idea to boldly announce that she was releasing this comic and writing it on social media. And this comic has been universally panned by everyone, surprisingly, except the Gooners. But everyone with a decent mind out there has panned this comic.
There's that word again, the gooners. And I'm not going to look, is a gooner somebody with a fart fetish? I'm going to use that. I don't know what it is.
Again, I don't believe him. I don't believe that through cultural osmosis, if you're under 50 years old, you must know what a gooner is. I don't believe you. How have you missed this? I don't believe if you are under 50 that you have not via context clues learned what the term gooner is. I don't even like the term. I hate the term gooner, but I know what it means.
The creeps, I'm going to say the gooners. See, here, this is just Joanne Starer, the creator. These people always kind of act out the same script, or it looks like they're cut from the same mold. Not just do they actively destroy what was once good, their outward presentation is all very similar. I've talked about this before. Their looks are even annoying to any normal or regular person. Even their outward appearance and mannerisms. They're not trained to be obnoxious. The obnoxious are promoted to the top. Notnilk is an expert at doing this. It is a worthy adversary. Some of you may remember this from about 2 years ago, was it?
Oh my god, are they still complaining about the G4 thing?
TV. It was a video game channel, TV channel on cable. I think it's now defunct. There was this host called Frosk. I think it's a her. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's a her, but you're not sure. It's one.
Transvestigation, transphobia on the bingo card. I don't know anything about the identity of this host, nor do I care, but he's certainly doing something there.
One of those things, came out with these rants about sexism in video games, just started ranting, doing these diatribes to start the little half-hour shows.
Have you met capital G gamers? I'm a person who plays video games, man. Pretty bleak sometimes.
I mean, I don't watch the channel. I saw this pop up maybe about 2 years ago. Now, this is a great example of what we're talking about. This Frosk isn't in on anything. It didn't get secret.
Okay, let's move on to more traditional conspiracy content. I've had my fill of farts. Take a look at the bingo card real quick. Since we already had a bingo winner, let's knock off what we already have on the card here, and then we'll move forward. Misunderstanding of the scientific method. One of our cats makes a guest appearance. Vibes-based conspiracy. Word salad. Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism. We're here somewhere. Popular media is evil. Transphobia, transvestigation. Is there anything else? You did see Terrence Howard, James. Let me actually see.
Terrence Howard has been risking his entire career and possibly his life. He discovered something.
Oh my god, I gotta show you guys something. Okay. So I was at a thrift store the other day, and there was a painting. I'm pretty sure this painting is supposed to be of Martin Luther King Jr., though I'm not positive. But the painting does not look like Martin Luther King Jr. It looks like Terrence Howard! Someone did this painting, and I think it's supposed to be Martin Luther King Jr., but it looks like, do you know how badly I wanted to buy this Terrence Howard painting? This accidental Terrence Howard? Am I crazy? Am I the crazy one? Right? Is it supposed to be Terrence Howard? Am I crazy for thinking that it was originally supposed to be Martin Luther King Jr.? And I'm the nutbag for, I don't know. It looks like someone trying to paint Martin Luther King Jr., and they veered hard right, and hit Terrence Howard. Anyway, go to thrift stores. They're fucking awesome. Green guy with the $3 tip says, Hannah, I'm pushing to have a different tip goal because other than people who love you, humans need a reward for motivation and they usually want it now, so having a year of costume lowers motivation for people to tip and my wife likes the Muppets. That's a pretty good reason.
That may revolutionize our entire
I will think about it and I will have a definitive answer in the next couple days.
existence.
I don't care what happens. I'm here to bring the truth at whatever cost that comes with it. And they don't want you to know that, because then you will know, and this is going to make them angry. I'm at the point now
It could be just someone's family member. It could. If they do, they look a lot like Terrence Howard.
where I'm ready to war. So I challenge any chemist, any physicist, any astrophysicist, any cosmologist, any biologist, anyone within the fields of science to come and challenge me. These are proofs. This isn't
But
theory.
it's not. This is what gets me about Terrence Howard. None of what you're doing is proofs of anything. You're just showing things and going, look, ooh, but like it doesn't mean anything.
Anymore. Theories are written out and need to be proven. These are geometric proofs.
Before we delve deeper into the concept he's explaining, let me share something very interesting that truly caught my attention. After making all the information public, Terrence faced significant criticism and ridicule in the mainstream media. Interestingly, a typical pattern is observed. First is ridicule.
Platonic solids?
Right. Aren't you getting a star?
Rebuilding universe. You go, well, you're getting a star.
Initially, the person's ideas or statements are mocked, making it
This is so stupid. I hate this. I think Carl Sagan has a pretty important quote for this. It goes something along the lines of, sure, they laughed at Galileo, they laughed at Newton, but they also laughed at Bozo the Clown. Just because people are laughing at the thing you said doesn't mean that you should take the opportunity and go, you idiots, they laughed at list of several famous people who turned out to be right. People laugh at people who are wrong more often than they laugh at people who are right, and they just don't know it. I'm not saying the latter doesn't happen. It's just a lot rarer than the former.
challenging for them to be
Like, genuinely, take this thought to its logical conclusion. By their own reasoning, anytime anything is mocked ever, you should assume it's true. Oh, they must be onto something. I've determined that it'll add 50 years to your life if when you get up in the morning and you go out, you slather peanut butter in the right shoe and jelly in the left shoe. People are laughing at me. Why does everyone laugh at my brilliant peanut butter jelly shoe solution? Clearly, you're all fools. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, people should laugh at that idea.
taken seriously by others. Second event, opposition.
But if you go by your logic, and if you define beforehand that something, logically it makes the most sense that 1 times 1, and then that's where the mathematical convention comes in, and that's large part of math is convention. It's how it has been defined. It's a matter of definition.
What? Did she just say math is convention? Math has proof. Mathematics is reverse engineerable to the point that you can be like, ah, yes, this works. It's like the one study where you can prove, like, beyond any doubt, look, it works. Plug in numbers. It works. That's proof. I'm sorry. I'm just very frustrated because this person's dumb. Hydrate. Can do.
With that thing that I showed you, did you look at the square root of 2? Do you think that that's a loop, that's a natural thing with the square root of 2? Did you believe that?
Pi, there's like not a mathematical.
No, it's not the same though. It's not the same with pi. What we just did, we multiplied it, we cubed the number, and then we divided it by 2, and we cubed it again and divided it by 2, and we did that a number of times, and that number still remained the same exact number, which we know cannot happen.
The third one is acceptance. There's a potential final stage where the public's perception begins to shift. The ideas or the person that were once ridiculed and opposed might start to see some level of acceptance.
Terrence Howard, the guy who interviewed me for Rolling Stone, told me that Terrence Howard is like a legitimate genius. Like, you talk to the guy is absolutely brilliant.
Besides what Joe Rogan said, Terrence has recently garnered a lot of attention and numerous views on YouTube. 3 million views here, 2.8 million there, 1.4 million, 1.3 million, and many more. This says a lot. Perhaps he's right and we haven't realized it yet. Let's analyze the entire concept. Please pay close attention and rewind if you feel you didn't keep up with the information.
All of our math is based upon approximation, unrealistic things. And that's why they're angry at me, because I'm upsetting their cart. But in order for us to advance to
Why do people take anything Rogan says seriously? Because he posits a world that's a lot more interesting than the reality of it. He says things that make people feel special, or like they have some special knowledge, or like they're not insignificant, or he makes them feel better for not having a particular expertise that other people have taken a lot of time in their life to get. Oh, you don't need that. Experts don't really know anything. Jade Monkey, thanks for 15 months.
level 1 society, a level 1 civilization. We have to abandon the lie. No matter how attached to it we are, no matter how much, if you find out that the foundation of your house is about to crack and you've got many, many stories of generations on top of it, you pull all those people out and you fix that foundation. They don't want to do that with our man. They would rather let us die. I'm here. I don't care what happens. I'm here to bring the truth at whatever cost that comes with it. But the truth is here. That's why I put the book out for free.
In his book, which you can find at tcotlc.com, on the first page, he mentions something shocking.
Check out Leslie Rue's GoFundMe, everyone. I know Leslie messaged me about this. If you can help out, please do.
About our math system. Allow me to enlighten you. If 4 divided by 2 is the inverse operation of 2 times 2 equaling 4, then it would naturally follow that 2 divided by 1 is the inverse operation of 1 times 1 equaling 2. What does your common sense tell you about these two scenarios?
What does your common sense tell you? Isn't a thing that should be written in this.
What do they have in common and what are their differences? Division. The number 4 is divided by 2 twice, and the truth is the number 2 is divided by 1 twice. Addition. 2 plus 2 equals 4, and 1 plus 1 equals 2. Subtraction. 4 minus 2 equals 2, and 2 minus 1 equals 1. Multiplication. 2 times 2 equals 4, and 1 times 1 equals 1. Can you see where the mistake has occurred?
Do you know how I figured it out? What's 1 times 1?
1 times 1 is 1.
To multiply means to do what? To make more, right?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. If you're multiplying by a negative number, you're not going to make more. Oh, I want to vomit all over Terrence Howard's face.
Increase in number?
Yes.
No, multiply does not mean to increase in number in the mathematical sense. You could colloquially say that to multiply means that, but mathematically that is not the definition of multiplication.
Multiply?
Yes.
How can 1 times 1 equaling 1?
Because it's 1 unit of 1. 1 is the thing, and the other 1 is the number of times you have the thing. It's abstracted in this case because we're talking about raw numbers, but you could make it a thing. You could say, we have 1 times 1 apples. You have 1 apple 1 time. That's how many times you have the apple, is 1. The second 1 isn't another object, it's representative of the quantity of times you have the object, The thing, the one.
Be part of the multiplication table. It was to satisfy the term multiply. It doesn't multiply.
Terrence explains that multiplication involves making more or increasing in number. When one
Okay, but it doesn't? That's not what that word means?
object exerts a force on another, the second object also exerts a force in return on the first object.
What does that have to do with anything? This isn't multiplication. You're all of a sudden talking about Newton's laws? The fuck are you talking about? Go back to the numbers.
Similarly, if one object...
Trey says, you know what's so crazy to me about, to think about? Terrence was born the same year we landed we landed on the goddamn moon using pens and paper to do mathematical calculations. It's all been downhill since then.
Object applies pressure to another, the second object responds with pressure exerted back onto the first object. For example, take a calculator and input the number 2, followed by finding its square root. The result will be approximately 1.4142135623733095. Now perform two different actions with this result, multiplied by 2 and raise it to the power of 3. Both actions yield the same value. 2.828427121746190. Now divide the result by 2 and cube it again, and you will get the same value again. It shows how different mathematical operations on the same number can yield unexpected yet consistent results.
You see that loop?
Yeah.
That's saying x cubed is equal to 2x, which is equal to x plus x. That's an unnatural equation. That's a mathematical fallacy. And that's the beginning of your math.
It's a mathematical fallacy?
Someone programmed that lie in there and lied to you and you and everyone, and all your fundamentals are off. And then everybody said I was crazy. Well, am I crazy or is the calculator broke?
You're crazy. You're crazy. If it wasn't for all your money, no one would be taking you seriously. The only reason you're getting a platform to spew this absolute bullshit is because you're famous. So tired.
Another aspect that Terrence explains is that in a delicate equilibrium, chemicals are essentially nothing more than the motion of either electricity or magnetism. Matter is just motion that originates from two fundamental motions: electricity, a manifestation of centripetal force, a proceeding motion, and magnetism, which arises.
Electricity and magnetism are aspects of the same force. They're electromagnetism. Terrence Howard got on the record and said he doesn't think electricity and magnetism are the same thing.
From centrifugal motion, or moving away from the center. These phenomena
He also didn't invent this concept. The idea of the electric universe is a conspiracy topic that has existed prior to Terrence Howard. There's a number of people who do this sort of electric cosmology bullshit. I don't cover them because I don't usually find it interesting. Their whole thing is basically taking stuff that gravity does and saying, no, that's not gravity, that's electromagnetism that does it. A pretty boring conspiracy.
Not tangible entities, but rather effects of specific motions. Everything in the universe is spinning to the right or left, contracting or expanding, with each element preceded
The right or left of what? What?
succeeded by a noble gas.
Every
The right or left relative to what? Do you mean clockwise or counterclockwise?
element has a noble gas that
Like it's
precedes
orbiting?
before it and after it. And there are 3 steps to folding an element. And an element is just a pressure condition. It's just a periodic pressure condition. And we say,
What? No, atoms are pressure conditions. No, they're not.
periodic because it repeats itself. Something predictable. When you get this kind of pressure condition, this is the element that will show. Or
It's not pressure, it's atomic bonds. It's atomic bonds.
is the crystallization that will occur. If you get this pressure condition, the crystallization is even tighter. You get this pressure condition, the crystallization is tighter. And we call each of those crystallizations a different element. But
What? No, now he's conflating crystals. What? Amber says, Terrence, we can talk all day about how science is predicated on peer review and the like, and that it's true, but as its most basic, science is powerful and important because it works. Our current understanding of math and physics allows us to predict the position of planets, fly a plane, split an atom. If you want to overturn an understanding, then your new version physics must do all of that and more.
substance
I feel like a lot of these crackpot, like, people who are into wanting to be scientists, their ultimate problem is that they don't understand that the thing that they explain needs to do something. There needs to be explanatory power in what they're doing, or predictive power, otherwise they're just masturbating. Like, what are you even trying to say? I pulled this up to actually look at, too. This is called the General Science Journal. We haven't looked at this in a long time, like over a year, so I don't know if y'all remember this. But this is a website that sort of purports to be a scientific journal, but it's not really a scientific journal. It's a forum where anyone can come and publish their, quote, scientific paper. So, like, the one I pulled up for an example is this one. Look at that. Look at this lovely formatting. Very legitimate. This is called Time Does Not Belong to the Physical Universe. Alted Undying says, 2 of my best friends are an accountant and a chemist, and I have sympathetic pain. Anyway, so I don't know how to explain this. It seems like there are some people who think that they have this, like, eureka moment. It's like there are people like Terrence Howard who think that on some level they've discovered something about the physical world, about physics, that physics just doesn't understand, like the study of physics doesn't understand. And they think that if they can just explain it, then they'll have, like, broken everything, right? The problem is, they're delusional, right? Physics isn't just, like, vibes. Physics isn't just, hey, I think this thing. Physics is math. Physics is the mathematical expression of, like, repeatable physical events based on the laws of our universe, right? Physics is a lot of math, but what you'll notice about crackpots, not a lot of math, and in this case, no math? He's trying to talk about time and space-time, and there's zero math. You know what I mean? People like Terrence Howard feel like they have a really good idea, right? They feel like they are onto something big, but they just can't express it, you know? It's strange. It's sense of importance that is not warranted. They think they have a big idea, but it really isn't. It's like grandiosity. It's a delusion of grandeur, basically. Let's take a look at this for an example. Abstract. The report presents the problem of time in physics and shows that time does not exist physically. Time is a transcendental concept of the mind. That's the abstract. 1. Introduction. The theory of relativity is based on Lorentz's formulas. According to these formulas, time would be slowed down for moving bodies. Of course, the effect would only be measurable for very high speeds. In the same way, time could change depending on the distance to stars. Time would act on the bodies at the same time as the modification of the distance to accelerate them. This is how the theory of general relativity claims to explain gravitation. Time is not perceptible. None of our senses allow us to perceive time. Our watches give the position of hands or numbers. We see them, but it's not time ourselves. On the other hand, time is composed of the past. See what I mean? He's opining. He's just, like, vibing it out. It's like he's doing Greek philosophy. That's a good way to put it, actually. These people think physics functions like Greek philosophy. Like, you can just, like, say a bunch of stuff and come to what might be some sort of logical syllogism, or vaguely resemble some sort of logical syllogism, and they go, I did it, there's physics. And that's not what physics is. Trey says, I think a part of the problem is that for a lot of these people, they learn about scientific discoveries and how they came about from movies that have narrative motivations with how they're dependent. I get what you're saying. They have a very theatrical view of how scientific discovery happens. Something similar, but in a different field, is how some religious people will add in things to the Bible that never happened, like how a lot of people say they made fun of Noah, or that he was in some way discriminated against. Yeah, stuff from different texts, whether it's like the Divine Comedy, or Paradise Lost, stuff from that gets like filtered into the religion. Yeah. Screaming at the Radio says, when I was doing my PhD, I was getting a lot of emails from people like that. You're entirely correct. It's a mix of misunderstanding of science and extreme arrogance. Yeah, there's someone I've been watching who did a really good video on that. Let me see if I can find her channel real quick. I'll give you a link just because I want to give her the view. Yeah, Angela Collier, not sure how it's pronounced, but here's a link to her video. This is her 24-minute video on this, and she did a part 2 that has to deal with an actual scientist that veered into sort of crackpot pseudoscientist stuff, so it's interesting. Anyway, back to Terrence Howard. If I can find the video. Where? I apologize. For some reason, I'm having trouble finding the Terrence Howard video. We're just on it. Did I already go past it or something? Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. There it is.
Under different motion and pressure conditions.
He gave the example of
Collier, thank you.
hydrogen. Concerning other elements, shares similarities with carbon, silicon, cobalt, and rhodium regarding their tonal conditions. There is a pattern where certain elements have 3 elements preceding them and 3 elements succeeding them in the periodic table.
If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A should be equal to C. So how is it that hydrogen doesn't have 3 elements that precede before it, and also 3 elements?
Oh, sorry, I missed a tip too. Green Guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, you find some of the funniest videos to watch. The internet has been the best means in spreading the word that if you have millions, you're not smarter or better than anyone else. Yeah, I don't know if everyone's gotten the message, unfortunately. A lot of people voted for Trump, so.
That precede after it before you get to helium. It's an entire octave within itself.
Our
It's
perception
an entire octave within itself. You know what I mean? Like, they're saying things that mean things to them. Like, I'm sure to him that makes some kind of sense, but it doesn't really mean anything.
of elemental relationships might be influenced by our cognitive and physiological processes, such as how we perceive motion. Human perception is minimal when understanding higher states of matter or more dense conditions. The differences hinder our ability to perceive these states in temporal dimensions between us and these states. Hydrogen is the first element we can perceive, but 21 other elements occur before it. These elements are described not as permanent entities, but as conditions or conditional facts. It implies that altering the conditions under which an element exists can result in a different manifestation. For instance, changing the pressure condition of carbon can transform it into nitrogen and...
What? Jesus Christ, they're doing alchemy. Screaming at the Radio says, another thing is that they seem to be above all else looking for recognition, and all they get is rejection, justifiably, but instead of questioning their own competence, it's easy to question that of the person rejecting you. Roger from Mud Fossil University is like the example of this. He's big on that stuff. Captain Rachel, thanks for 55 months. James with a $10 super chat says, longtime viewer, first-time tipper. Thanks for helping to expose Terrence Howard and his fraudulent nonsense. Love sincerely, a math and computer science teacher and peer reviewer. Love you, Hannah. Oh, thank you.
Oxygen.
Yeah, Terrence Howard's interesting. His specific level of celebrity and brand of bullshit just hits in a place that is really frustrating.
Despite these changes,
Terrence Howard is the platonic ideal of a Joe Rogan guest. Does that make sense? He's famous, he's confident, he's full of shit and doesn't know what he's talking about, But Joe Rogan will sit there and smoke weed or whatever and be like, yeah, man. Like, he's the perfect Joe Rogan guest. Sounds legitimate if you're an idiot.
The fundamental nature of the element remains the same. For a better understanding, consider that a lab-grown diamond is a fascinating example of transforming carbon from one form into another, more structured form, specifically into a diamond. To make a diamond in a lab, scientists start with a tiny seed of diamond and a form of carbon like graphite. They put these into a machine that creates a very hot and pressurized environment, much like deep inside the earth where natural diamonds form. This intense heat and pressure make the carbon atoms rearrange themselves and grow layer by layer onto the diamond seed. After a few weeks, the carbon turns into a sparkling lab-grown diamond. It's just like a natural diamond, but made by humans. In reality, we only perceive less than 1/2 of 1% of the total spectrum, yet we base our judgments on this limited perception. So
we base certain judgments on our visual perception. We have other senses. So they just throw in non sequiturs. It's just supposed to sound deep. Ooh, did you know there's actually a lot of the we don't see most of the electromagnetic spectrum. Yeah, I know. That would be very confusing if we did. Fine. God.
Human perception is limited in understanding the electromagnetic spectrum, including visible light and other forms of radiation.
I'm at the point with other people that I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Like, when I hear shit like this and I know people fall for it, like, I don't even know if I can be mad. I'm just disappointed. Like, what do you do? Nothing. Not gonna help me to be mad about it. This is the species we're a part of. It's fine. We're fine. It's fine. We're fine.
We are cosmically blind on a conscious and cosmic level. There's no death on Mars. There's no death on any planet. Everything is alive and just in a different state of distance based on the motion and pressure conditions. But
did he just say there's nothing dead on Mars and that Mars is alive?
there is no death. Death is the comparable to sleeping, where life is being away.
Terrence continued to explain that we must acknowledge
death is like being sleeping when life is away. Okay.
the eternal cycle of existence, where all things participate in the processes of inhaling and exhaling, the exchange of gases in living organisms, and the cycling of matter and energy in ecosystems and the universe at large. It challenges the conventional understanding of electric charge, particularly the idea of being solely negatively charged. When an entity loses its electric charge, it discharges its electricity, and this loss occurs when it seeks a high pressure condition where centrifugal force dominates. On the other hand, magnetism acts to push away from this high pressure condition. These behaviors are
pressure of what? Pressure of what?
Attributed to
air?
The motion
like
of a
the
fluid
atmospheric pressure?
Like substance, possibly.
Hats off. What do you want me to wear, Fennikagami? It has to go with this costume.
Referring to the ether, which spins either to the right or the left. Newton's third law of motion states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It is a dynamic interplay between electric charge and magnetism in the context of pressure conditions and the motion of a fluid-like substance. These forces interact in predictable ways, influencing the behavior of matter in the universe.
Light doesn't travel. Light reproduces itself. With each octave, with each wave, it has a full life cycle of birth, growing up, maturing, mating, and then reproducing into the next octave. Every wave of
into the next octave. Dillis Filler, what do you want me to look up for Black's Law dictionary request?
life is an entire of light itself is an entire family.
What does he think an octave is? As far it's because it deals with vibrations. Like an octave is a higher pitch, right? If you go up an octave, you're going up higher in pitch, and to him it has to do with vibrations. So he's drawing a connection. He's trying to draw a connection between the pitch of the frequency. Again, it's hard to talk. I find it difficult to talk about this because every time you try to think about it too hard, it's like it slips through your hands. Like you're trying to hold onto a bunch of sand, and the harder you think about it, the further away you get from understanding it. You really can't think about it too hard. You just gotta vaguely recognize the connection between the two and accept that as the end in and of itself, because that's what they're doing, whether they realize it or not. Can't overthink it. The higher octave, it's higher frequency, it's higher pitch, it's better. Lower octave, frequency, bad. That's the level you gotta think about it, or else it crumbles. Let's see, what did Dillis Filler say? Frequency? Sure, I'll give it a shot.
Another intriguing concept that Terrence Howard is explaining is the flower of life symbol. The flower of life symbol, featuring overlapping circles in a flower pattern, is found worldwide but often overlooked in history books, keeping it relatively...
Not overlooked, it's just literally a symbolic pattern that humans have simultaneously discovered throughout history. It's a geometric pattern, that's it. Not notable outside of that. You can talk about, like, what that symbol meant to specific cultures, and it's going to be different between different cultures, but the shape itself is irrelevant, right? It's the meaning people grant it that means something. Might as well be asking, what does a circle mean? What does a cross mean? Well, it depends upon the culture that perceives it and uses it as a symbol. What are they using the symbol for?
The unknown. This symbol, seen in ancient ruins and on megalithic pillars at the Temple of Osiris, is depicted in red and has sparked debates about its age due to nearby Greek graffiti, suggesting a later addition by ancient Greeks, possibly influenced by Pythagoras. Unveiled by João Melchizedek, its presence spans from a 2,600-year-old Assyrian stone in Iraq to Leonardo da Vinci's drawings, and from Roman mosaics in Turkey to a statue in Beijing's Forbidden City, reflecting...
And a lot of people have drawn that weird S, too. It's not esoteric, it's just a cool symbol.
Its significance across various cultures and eras. Despite its ancient root, the flower of life continues to fascinate, marking sacred sites.
There's an interview with Terrence where he said carbon had a tone of G or whatever, and they said, what does that sound like? And he couldn't hum it. He just started spouting numbers and frequencies. It's vibes-based conspiracy. Again, they have this feeling. This is so hard to articulate, because once you articulate it, you've lost it. Fuck. I'm Terrence Howard. They are drawing a series of loose connections between concepts that to them feel profound. And they don't understand that that feeling of profundity does not mean that what they are doing actually means anything. It's like a spiritual experience that, like, in the moment feels real to you, but to them it's a secular context. They have the feeling that they've done, like, a eureka moment, and they think because they have those feelings, I must be on to something, but they don't understand that you can have those feelings and feel like you've come across something significant, and feel like you've made these amazing connections between different ideas, and it can just be bullshit your brain made up. Like, your brain just feels a thing about these connections. That doesn't mean they're actually, like, connected in a significant way? It's delusional. Anyway, where was I? Looking for frequency?
And historical artifacts around the globe.
The oldest images that we have from antiquity and found on every continent is this image where 64 circles are overlapped, and it's called the flower of life. And on every continent it was found, in whatever language, it was always called the flower of life. Well,
that's definitely not true.
1,000 years ago, or however long ago, someone had the clever idea of saying, you know what, why don't I draw straight lines where the circles overlap?
This old interpretation talks about finding an average in the spaces where circles come together.
One of these circles you have to see as a magnetic field. That's how magnetism behaves. Everything expands.
From this, a shape called a tetrahedron comes.
What does he mean everything expands from magnetism? I don't even understand. Okay, so they don't have frequency in here. Frequentius actus multum. The frequency of an act affects much. A continual usage is of great effect to establish a right.
Comes out, showing us that real life doesn't have perfectly straight lines.
6,000 years ago, they began to average the space where the circles overlap. So that tetrahedron that we see.
Green Guy says, Hannah, I feel your show is awesome, with a $3 tip. Thank you.
This comes from the idea that all energy moves. All movement creates waves, and all waves bend. So making a straight line is impossible because every action has a reaction that balances it out. This bend we see is just everything balancing itself within a system.
Greater the resistance and the greater that curvature. This curvature is the equanimity of all the interactions within a particular system. It all
Casvel, we talked about the Harley Quinn farts. It was already bad enough.
balances
We don't
out
need to put you through it.
these perfect spheres, which are magnetic fields around each other, which is a discharging aspect. And where these magnetic fields interact, this is where electricity begins. Where they overlap, they're forced to create spin. But 6,000 years ago, they said they're going to average the spin, and they generated straight lines. And now you can clearly see that even the cube, where we get Pythagorean theorem from, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, is an average. It's an approximation. But most of our math is our algebra, our calculus. All of those things are generated through this circumstance, which also led into why 1 times 1, could not possibly equal 1, because what if you made each side of those lengths 1? Then you couldn't get the proper hypotenuse.
The problem starts.
It's not a triangle, it's multiplication. Why is he acting like 1 times 1 equals 1 is about a triangle? God, I hate Terrence Howard. I hate him so much.
That's when we try to make all shapes follow the same rules, like when we can't get the right length for the longest side of a triangle. This issue is a big deal in the study of shapes because it shows us that even the most perfect shapes are really just...
Oh, Jesus Christ, Cassifel, the thumbnail for the thing you sent me is horrific.
average.
Also, not today, Cassifel, with that, but like, what's a day that's coming up? Let me look at my schedule real quick. I'm gonna message you and figure out what day we're gonna do something, because it's been a while.
Forms. Euclid was an old-time Greek math expert who was good at studying shapes and thinking logically. He went to Egypt and wrote down important rules about shapes, which was a big step forward for math. But over time, some people changed his ideas or said he did things he didn't. Even with these mix-ups, Euclid's smart thoughts, like his study of a shape with 12 sides called the dodecahedron, have lasted a long time. This shows how strong and important his way of thinking about shapes still is in math talks today. In the following minutes, Terrence will explain the entire concept using the
Does he know the Pythagorean theorem is for right triangles only? I don't know. I don't think he does.
Pay attention.
So what I decided to do, what I was instructed to do, was to take the same flower. So we go to my app, this right here. This is what they'll find. And what he has there, there's an icon going from left to right, is what happens when 4 bubbles meet. I took the actual curved triangular pieces and I put 4 of them together based on universal ratios. And this is what it generated.
Based on universal ratios.
What you're looking at right here, if you'll rotate it, this is the point 4 bubbles meet. This is the negative space that they cannot compress.
Like, what does he think he's discovered here? I don't understand. What does Terrence Howard think he's discovered with the negative space between these hypothetical bubbles?
This is what we would call dark matter. This is the...
Oh, he thinks it's dark matter! No, that doesn't mean anything. What the fuck?
Photon, the geometry of hydrogen itself. It has 8 poles, it has 4 contractive poles, and that's where it concaves in, and it has electricity seeking a higher pressure condition.
What do you mean it has electricity seeking a higher pressure condition? It's a fucking weird triangle you made. It's like a weird pseudo-pyramidal shape. There's no electricity. There's no pressure. This is a geometric shape you made in Blender.
Cause a cavity, and magnetism, unable to maintain its electrical potential, ends up spinning off of the vortices.
4 bubbles describe the presence of 4 spheres occupying this specific space. The negative space we observe is the area that remains between these 4 spheres.
Okay, I'm done with this video. The pseudo mathematics is making me want to tear my hair out. So let's move on. Hydrate, can do. Everyone thinks I need to hydrate today. Am I looking like the Crypt Keeper? Everyone's making me hydrate. Probably my voice. Oh, what else we got? How's this guy doing? Try this out.
Orbs and what they're calling drones and all of that.
Juggle?
Sheffield, mate. I
Okay.
saw 13 orbs, yeah?
Yeah.
Like in a straight line, and there was one to the left.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you look back on the journey that we've been on with Partner Babyanon in terms of when we first came into, you know, Right Knowledge and Wu Sabat, and just how people will react to us over time. You know, like the stuff we were talking
When
about.
we mentioned extraterrestrials,
Yeah,
like
we were like, we were crazy.
mad, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, things like that. And when he was talking about who he is, like, even till this day, people are like, how can you prove that he's from Risk and that, you know, Risk really exists? And people tend to think like you have to be able to prove everything. And what we try to say to them is like, when you've been walking with the master for a very long time, and he's proven so many different things, you literally know that he can be trusted, and you can't really go wrong with what he says to you because you've never really had any reason to. For some people, they're like, that's belief. But once you've confirmed something from someone so many times, you know for yourself.
Like your parents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But that doesn't mean that everyone should accept it. But then people will be like,
doing well. Just keep my head in the books and eyes in the sky and enjoy life.
That's a good point. We don't look up enough, but we got to keep an eye on the signs and times. But go ahead.
The question I have for you is, everyone's always talking. I know that everyone is still in this religious mindset.
Sorry, Caspel. Caspel said, here we are. You must advance to the next level. Oh, I've covered Time Cube. Jesus Christ. What is his name? Gene Ray Dolby or something? What the heck is his name? Gene Ray. Where did I get Dolby from? Anyway, he basically reinvented time zones. Hard to talk about.
So majority of the questions are going to continue to revolve around Anunnaki. So I'm going to pose this question to you.
Tua.
Zachariah Sent
I hope you're able to catch the VODs, James, even if you can't catch live. Appreciate ya.
was known for being able to decipher these tablets.
This guy has a video defending Terrence Howard. Yeah, I think I've actually played that.
Pulled out of the earth millions of years ago written. Now, with the exception of the master teacher, who in the world taught these cats how to read these ancient writings?
This is a little funny to me. I think we might get a bizarro version of one of our spots. This is a question. This is the Nation of Islam, which is like a religious sort of African nationalist group and sort of cult that believes a lot of pseudo-historical bullshit. And they're going to ask, how did these Europeans learn to translate these ancient African texts?
Because I always say the same thing. You know, how did Henry Ford build a car when we were still riding in horses and carriages? He had no knowledge of a car. So these Europeans...
Couldn't you ask that about anything? How does anyone invent anything? First of all, Henry Ford didn't invent the car. The car was already invented. His company helped create the automobile assembly line in the United States. He didn't invent the car. But, like, that is a weird question, even if he did invent the car, isn't it? How did he think to invent thing? Thing didn't exist. That's every invention. That's every invention.
Come from with this concept that they could actually read scripts written by our ancestors, when I know for sure, based on the teaching from the master teacher, that they weren't around when they was explaining how to read and write and speak the ancient language. I get off here and I'll listen to your response.
No problem. Appreciate love. Thank you for your question as usual. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we kind of overcomplicate things. The answer is that they have contacts with extraterrestrials who teach them. And these extraterrestrials...
Aliens did it on the bingo card, and weirdly, racist disbelief of historical achievements, because he believes Europeans are too stupid to have translated ancient African writings, so the aliens must have taught the stupid white people. We did it! Racist disbelief of historical achievements, and aliens did it on the bingo card.
Anunnaki.
We did it, white people! We got one!
Remember, they're different beings.
This is probably the first and only time that space is going to get filled on this show from that angle. That's hilarious.
When we say Anunnaki, and
he does believe in Yakub. That's actually how I found his channel, was doing research on Yakub, the creator of white people. If you don't know the Yakub lore, oh boy.
The Pleiadians and certain beings are in contact with, because even if you remember, like, the visitations from these beings, I just mentioned Val Thor, for example, who was a Venerian, or even the Ashtar Federation that were in contact with Hitler, they're able to just telepathically communicate to you and teach you and read and show you things and just put chips in you, and they do like
turnabout is fair play, I guess. Yeah.
The guy that's sending rockets up, right? He's putting chips in people's brain. He's actually got a whole company now. And the master told us many years ago that they can just put a chip in you and you'll be able to speak any language now, you know? And this is alien technology. So yeah, if you study, you know, Zachariah Stitchin and go back and look at him, he was basically Stitchin. I always say Stitchin.
Let's see what's next. Where did Moses get his powers from, I hear you ask? Good question, person I made up so I could have a segue. Here's the answer.
In the book of Exodus, an interaction between the Pharaoh of Egypt and Moses. In the Pharaoh's court, Moses and Pharaoh are discussing the destiny of the Israelites. We see that the discussion is settled by the battle of serpents.
Oh, uses AI on the bingo card, by the way. These images are AI generated.
This battle between serpents represents an energetic battle between the energies of both the Pharaoh and Moses. We see that at the end, Pharaoh cannot keep the Israelites as slaves. The event influencing energy which Moses contained within himself overpowered that of the pharaohs. The serpent of Moses.
I don't know why, but one's own bodily fluids become, for certain conspiracy theorists, I don't know why, but one's own bodily fluids become a focus of obsession. I don't know why. This is even parodied, like, as far back as, Strangelove. You remember the general from Strangelove who's gone insane makes the joke about the communists are after our precious bodily fluids. Unironically, though, it's like a consistent weird delusion that some people will get that their bodily fluids are very important and valuable and they need to save them. And if they don't, then they're losing something. Weird. Hydrate. Can do. Altered Undying says, I really would rather just put a fish in my ear, and then there's a link. Oh, it's a babblefish. I get
it. Swallowed the serpents of the Pharaoh. In other words, Moses had more influence on the outcome of events in physical reality because he had greater reserves of built-up energy. This he harnessed through the practice of sexual energy cultivation, which he taught through symbolism.
That's a euphemism for semen retention, by the way. This is just a no-fap guy who's a conspiracy theorist.
Natural world and all of its resources bend the knee to the energetic or spiritual underlying reality.
If you remember correctly, that character was somewhat inspired by Howard Hughes having similar obsessions with his bodily fluids. That would make sense. Again, it's a consistent delusion that people get. Weird.
Pharaoh, with all of his army and resources, cannot stop Moses because on a spiritual and energetic level, Moses outweighed the Pharaoh. Energy is the underlying current influencing the flow of events in life. The greater your energy reserves are, the more influence you exert over the affairs of your world. In hieroglyphs, we see the sexual energy depicted as serpents around the practitioner.
Do we?
In the Bible, it speaks of a man that is...
Sir, do you have a degree in Egyptology, or is this just shit you're making up? Kind of feels like you're looking at a hieroglyphic image and going, "Oh, that look, I could say that is semen retention energy." What you see when you look at an image and what you draw from it symbolically is not inherently the intended message that was, like, transcribed into that depiction, hieroglyphic message, whatever. Oh, I will in a sec, just a peach, sorry. Joan Corbell says the moral of that story was that Moses' power came from God. That's why his snake overcame the Pharaoh's court mages, not that Moses didn't come. These people, I swear to God. Yes. You are correct. Green Guy says, Hannah, wasn't there a YouTuber that would take, like, an invention like a car and picture by picture slowly go back in time and always end with a rock every time a rock, but as you watch it totally made sense? I don't recall. That sounds like a thing that would be on YouTube, but I've never seen it. And then Dillis Filler says, we let our guard down that year. It was 2001, and we contracted with Bin Laden Construction Empire to have a sewage treatment plant built. They stole our piss. They stole our piss. That's how 2001 was the year terrorists won.
Tossed to and fro by the events of...
Funny Little Wizard says, I was gone a few months, and now Danzy's gone. My savings wasted. Now I'll torment you with Hydrate. I did play Danzy a couple patron streams ago on Patreon. Does that make you feel better?
Life. The one who harnesses sexual energy is not so. He becomes like a foundational stone, which is unmoved. He becomes a tree planted by living waters, whose leaf does not wither. The world tree in ancient mythology symbolizes this, and is also a reference to man's spine.
Interesting that he says the world tree in ancient mythology, as if there is one ancient mythology. That syncretism again, where they're acting as though the collective body of all human mythology are all different pieces of some larger truth mythology. It's interesting. Like, to them, they're not completely distinct cultural mythology. They're all different corners of the same shared cinematic universe, if that makes sense.
Which, like the tree, absorbs sexual energy to become strong.
Isn't there a plan to put something else in Danzy's place for folks that save up points? Yes. Have you considered, though, I'm negligent and bad at my job?
And fruitful.
I apologize. I will find something to replace it.
The Sanskrit word for spine is Merudanda, while the world tree is named Mount Meru, showing the interconnectedness of humans and the sacred center.
I thought the mountain was Yggdrasil.
So we become rooted and grounded when we absorb sexual energy and begin to flow it into meaningful study and practices. The serpents represent sexual energy. This parable reveals the energetic battle between the resolve of two individuals in manifesting conflicting resolves. The one who harnesses sexual energy and funnels it through the heart space to manifest his ambitions will succeed. Nothing will be able to stand in his way. Love, which is the purest and strongest of energies, cannot be resisted. The one who builds by funneling sexual energy through the heart into positive actions will prosper in all that he does.
Why is this lady crying at the end of your semen retention video? She's retaining so much semen, she's crying it out. Ugh.
All right, y'all. It's 2025, and people still believe in gravity. You know, gravity. It's the thing that keeps you stuck to the planet's surface, right? Supposedly, you jump up, you come right back down. Why? Because of gravity. Don't you know? Yeah, when you jump, gravity, it grabs you, and then it ivvities you back down to the planet's surface. It's the force that just keeps you stuck here, man. Gravity. Oh, okay. So, at what point, if I keep going up in the air into the sky, at what point do I reach magic floaty land? You know, where astronauts get to float around.
It's a gradient. As you get further away from something, its gravitational pull weakens relative to the distance you are to the center of its mass. So I can't give you, like, an exact height, and certainly astronauts are usually in orbit, which is its own thing. But he's basically just making fun of the concept of microgravity. That's it. He doesn't want a real answer. He just thinks it's funny that microgravity's a thing.
Not getting stuck.
You hate the smugness? Yeah, me too. That's why I try. Like, I get it. I tell jokes sometimes where I'm sure I come off like a complete bitch. But I try, even when it's something obvious, like the shape of the Earth, not to be smug about it. Because, like, why would I do that? Who cares? But also, like, if you're wrong about anything ever, being smug just makes you seem like a douche. Not worth it. Try to be humble. A little bit. We're wrong all the time. Fine.
To the planet's surface? Oh yeah, there's a point if you keep going up. If you just go up far enough, you can enter magic floaty land. And then you no longer are stuck to the planet's surface. Really? That's awesome. So tell me, once you're in magic floaty land, what's to keep the moon from getting sucked into the Earth's gravity? How come the moon doesn't come crashing into the Earth?
It's in orbit. It's an orbit around the Earth.
Oh, well, don't you know, silly pants? Once you go up high enough, and then you leave the planet's atmosphere, gravity changes. You're no longer stuck to the planet at that point. You see, the moon doesn't get sucked into the Earth because of gravity.
It is constantly being sucked in. Like, what? Like, oh my... How do these people so confident and they don't understand the basics of what being in orbit is? The moon is constantly falling towards the Earth. It just misses it. Every time. It's in orbit. That's effectively what an orbit is. It is under the influence of Earth's gravitational pull. It's just that it has enough momentum going that in its pull towards the Earth, it swings around it consistently, thus orbit. Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, are we a quarter of the way through the century, or is it that the end of the year? And I heat my house with a fireplace, and my cats love the fire. They look at me like a god when I open it to add wood. Must be magic. Aren't fireplaces incredible? So comfy. Are we a quarter of the way through the century, or is that the end of the year? I think it's the end of the year. I'm not positive, though. I don't know how that's technically measured. Because I think the century doesn't technically start, for whatever reason, until, like, 2000. Like, 2001 was the start of the century, because there's no year zero. You know what I mean? Wow. Funny Little Wizard says, could we get a bingo recap? We will at the end of this video, sure.
Oh, no. You see, the moon, it goes around the Earth, and it orbits the Earth because of gravity. Okay, so let me get this straight. I jump, and I get sucked back down because gravity? Yes.
Pulled, not sucked.
But moon doesn't crash into Earth and go...
It's always interesting when they do, like, a voice to sound like how do I put this? It's like they're facetiously putting on a voice to make it sound like the thing they're saying is silly, because they're trying to, in their idea, make physics sound silly, but it just makes them sound profoundly ignorant. This is why you never want to do bits like this. High risk, low reward. Let's say he was even correct. He's not, but let's imagine he did. It would still be a poor rhetorical tool. You wouldn't be convincing anyone. This is basically only in existence to stroke his own ego, because even if he was right, this wouldn't convince anyone. You know what I mean? Debate bro energy.
Goes around Earth and orbits Earth because the same gravity? Yes! Okay, so how come the Earth doesn't get sucked into the sun? Oh!
We're in orbit around it. Again, same reason that the moon doesn't get sucked into the Earth. It's because we are in orbit. Ashley One Up says, the moon's orbit isn't actually perfect. It's moving away from us at a rate of several inches a year. I'll miss it when it's gone.
No, silly. The Earth doesn't get sucked into the sun. No. The Earth orbits the sun. It doesn't get sucked into it. So let me get this straight. When I jump, I'm instantly brought back down to the planet's surface because of gravity? Yes.
Does he understand the difference in force between him, a tiny person, jumping, is not the same as the force that causes the moon, for instance, to orbit the Earth, or the Earth to orbit the sun? The forces in those cases are orders of magnitude larger than a force he can exert with his muscles on Earth, with his tiny body, with his tiny human body. Like, we are talking his tiny human body versus a planet. Like, you might as well be talking about an ant versus a planet. Like, it's basically the same, like, formula. Like, you're closer to the ant than you are the planet on the size scale, you know what I mean?
But, if you go up high enough, there's a certain point where that no longer applies, and then you start orbiting? Uh-huh.
No, like, if you jumped up straight up, let's say you had Superman strength. We're just doing a hypothetical here. If you jumped straight up, you would still come back down eventually. You would have to include lateral movement. Like, that's one of the reasons rockets don't go up straight. They go up like this, because in order to get into orbit, it's not enough to go up, just away from the center of gravity of the object you're leaving. You have to move the other direction to try and escape its gravitational pull and remove yourself from its, what's the word I'm thinking of? Its reference point. It's, blanking on the word for a second. You're basically trying to leave the momentum that you have gained from being on the planet, is what I'm trying to say. Green Guy with a $3 tip says, the moon does not circle the Earth. They orbit each other like a dance around their center of gravity. Inertial reference frame. Thank you.
That's awesome how gravity gets to pick and choose when it decides to make...
It's not picking and choosing. Again, I'm sorry that it's like it's more complicated than the thing you want it to be. I apologize for that, but it is nonetheless true. Yes, the magnitude of the force is going to change based upon the objects involved in the interaction. Yes.
You stick to a surface, or when it makes you float magically in Magic Floaty Land, or when it decides to make you orbit stuff. So gravity gets to pick and choose when it decides to make you get stuck to stuff, and when it decides to make you orbit stuff. Am I getting this right? Yes!
No, you're doing kind of a mocking tone that's meant to imply that the things you're saying are silly, when in reality you're accidentally showing that you don't really understand how any of these things work, thus causing your arrogant affect to come off as mocking yourself as opposed to mocking the concepts that you're intending to.
You've got it right. That's how gravity works. You understand now? No, I'm still confused. Okay, I jump. Yep. Stuck back to the planet's surface. Why? Gravity. But if I go high enough and then reach a certain point, then I float around and I'm no longer stuck to the planet's surface.
If hypothetically you could somehow jump far enough to get out of the direct gravitational pull of the planet, yeah, sure. Great. Paladin Lost, thanks for 24 months, says, fuck me, 2 years of watching these morons. Happy second anniversary.
Yeah, that's because gravity no longer exists when you're in outer space.
No, it exists when you're in outer space. It's called microgravity. It's not called zero gravity, not actually scientifically.
Yeah, but then when I'm in outer space, what's to keep me from not getting sucked right back into the Earth's atmosphere and stuck back there?
You would if you were close enough to it and got into its gravitational pull.
Down to the planet. Oh, no.
And didn't have other forces preventing you from doing so.
Once you leave the Earth's atmosphere, you don't get stuck back down to it. No. Then you just start orbiting it. Oh!
Not magically. Oh my god, does he actually think that anyone is positing that if you just get far enough away from the Earth, you start to orbit it automatically? No one is saying that. Like, the math for the orbital mechanics is something we had to work out. Human beings had to sit there and longhand the math. Orbit is not just something you achieve willy-nilly. It's something that's, like, difficult and takes time and, like, preparation. You don't just fall into orbit for funsies.
Okay. So, gravity means you're stuck to stuff.
No, it doesn't. Gravity is the name of the force that attracts objects to one another, that attracts mass to mass.
Until you go up high enough. And then you're no longer stuck to stuff.
Is this his primary content? Yeah, he's a flat earther. He's been doing this for years. These days, he mostly does stuff where he complains about sports. This is the guy that does sports betting, and he loses a lot, so he thinks that the NFL is rigged because he loses.
And then you start orbiting stuff? Uh-huh. You get it. You totally understand how gravity works. But wait, I got
it. I think we get the gist of this video. He's being condescending in a way that's funny because it's illustrative of how little he understands the concept. But I do find it funny if you've not seen this guy before. I'm only going to watch like 2 minutes of this because I think it's emblematic of some of the issues this guy has. He can't handle being wrong. So obviously, when he makes bad bets, it can't be that he just made a bad bet. It has to be that the entire NFL and every single play in every single NFL game is entirely scripted, right?
Hello and welcome to the NFL Week 17 Top 10 Most Rigged Plays.
He does this every week. He does this every week.
Welcome back, disgruntled sports fans. Another week, another top 10. It's a brand new year, but it's the same phony football league. Let's break down these fake phony plays, shall
we? The Lions are 15-2. I assure you the NFL isn't rigging that. I'm scared. As a Michigander, if the Lions could not get into the Super Bowl, it would be awesome. You know how scared I am of the Lions winning a Super Bowl? I don't even know what other people in Michigan are going to do. I think Detroit might just explode. So I'm good. If that ends up happening at any point, I'm gonna avoid the outside world during the duration of that game and the following week.
We got the Colts playing for their playoff lives, and they're losing. Old man Flacco has to make something magical happen, or the
Phyllis Filler says, on the topic of them not understanding how small people are compared to the Earth, it's hard for many people to conceive of the actual scale of things like planets and numbers. For example, 100 and 1,000 are slightly different signs, but the quantities they represent are radically different. We focus on literacy for good reason, but we can't forget that numeracy is also important even outside of mathematics.
Colts
scale is a difficult thing to grasp.
Playoff hopes are gonna go up in smoke. Hey, it looks like you got two wide open guys right there in front of you. Old man Flacco, why don't you throw it to one of those two wide open guys right in front of you? Old man Flacco has a better idea.
If he genuinely believes football is rigged, why does he bother betting? Gambling addiction?
Instead, he's gonna throw it.
The gas, but like genuinely, I can't think of a reason other than gambling addiction. I don't say that derisively, by the way. I have a lot of sympathy for this guy, and I feel bad and hope he gets treatment at some point, because this has got to be a fucking nightmare.
Way over his intended target, right to the giant.
I say this as someone, you guys know that I used to have a huge drinking problem. I've been sober for years, which is great. But I will say this. I, as someone who used to, like, drink, like, a fifth of vodka in a day and wake up, like, covered in my own puke in the bathroom, I'm glad I was an alcoholic and not a fucking gambling addict. Holy shit. Like, my thing was terrible, and I never want to touch alcohol ever again. But holy shit, do you know what a nightmare it must be to have your hobby be, like, literally just lighting money on fire? Terrible. That's gotta suck. I really feel for everyone with addictions, but gambling always looks like the worst one to me. It's just, you're doing nothing. Like, at least with, like, alcohol or heroin, you're getting the high, you know, initially. Gambling, you're just throwing money, 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 and you get nothing.
It's effectively ending the Colts' playoff hopes. Now, I want to show you one more time. He had this guy wide open, who would have been a better choice. And this guy's wide open as well, but old man Flacco puts it just where the Giants can get it. And the Giants can get it only. And like I said, the Colts' playoff hopes are over. The Giants coming up with an upset victory.
I should say, yes, there is a gambling high when people win, but what I'm trying to illustrate is that high is fleeting and fickle. Whereas with something like alcohol or a drug, at least once you get it, you have the thing. You know what I mean? At no point during my alcoholism did I go to the liquor store and hand them $20 and go, give me vodka, and they went, nope, no winner, sorry. They always gave me the vodka, you know what I mean?
So here...
Anyway. Alright, enough of that guy. Oh, the flat earth stuff is unabating. Let's take a look at the bingo card real quick. I think we had Ancient Wisdom, uses AI, Flat Earth, Spurious Symbology as evidence. Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident. 2.5 months till I've been sober 4 years. Nice. Racist disbelief of historical achievements. Idiot says they're a genius for his condescending rant. Aliens did it. Was the bodybuilding guy the gay agenda? No! He didn't say that. I had a vibe about him, but no, he didn't. That. Giants, the football team, though. Does the space just say Giants? Like, is it just giants, or is it? Like, literally, I'm not even joking. If the space only says giants, you know what? It does. Fuck it. Giants. That's funny. It does just say giants, so I'll count that giants on the bingo card. And then what was the other one? Anything else? I think that's it. Cool beans. What is scientism? It's a thing they'll say. It's them trying to compare science to a religion, so they'll call it scientism. Because it sounds like a religion. Oh, you know Peter's cult leader? You know how Peter, the QAnon guy, is in a cult, and his cult leader has a hobby of using the cult's funds to be a rapper? Anyway, Peter's cult leader rapper, who uses the cult's funds to do his vanity MAGA rapping, performed at Mar-a-Lago for the incoming president. So a literal current cult leader is doing his vanity rap project in front of the incoming felon rapist president. Welcome to America. I missed Bits Gamer G. Let me see. Gamer G said, back when I lived in Indiana with a month after the state legalized sports betting, you couldn't watch anything on TV or online without getting bombarded with shiny ads about sports betting and making money. Even one of my friends started sports betting on an app. It's so disgusting, there's a reason it wasn't legal in the first place. Oh yeah, it's bad.
Yes, Mr. Pastor Sean King Bullethead, give him a big hand. He's going to do this with me. We're going to close
His
this
rap
out.
name is King Bullethead.
It's called Still Standing.
I like that all of MAGA just seems to basically be the independent vanity projects of every insanely narcissistic, like, psycho in the country with any money. They're all using this as an opportunity to throw money at Trump to get a chance to, like, play out their weird narcissistic fantasies. Phyllis Filler says, my degrees on separation to that person are decreasing and I don't like it. Me, Hannah, Peter, cult leader, orange cult leader.
That's right.
Is he lip syncing? It's just when there wasn't, as he pulled his, like he's holding the mic in his hand and he pulled it down, but as he pulled it down, there was not a change in the volume of the noise. You know what I mean? Like, typically, if you were rapping or singing into a microphone and you pulled it away from your mouth, the volume is going to go down as you do, because you're getting further away from the source of the where the audio is getting collected. but it didn't? Is this him lip syncing and it's this bad? Look it. See what I mean? Am I crazy? Like, he moved it and it didn't change at all. Like, I'm not Sherlock Holmes, but, like, I think case closed, right? Like, he's lip syncing, right? Again, literal cult leader. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to figure out. I know I'm almost 31. I'm turning 31 in March. Have things always been this stupid and bad, and I'm just much more aware of it, not only because of the existence of social media, but because I'm a full adult and I intentionally seek this stuff out, right? This is my job. I chose this job. I look up the craziest people. But it feels like a lot of them are in proximity to power. I'm not, like, super comfortable with that. So, I don't know. Are things getting worse? Am I just more aware? Does it matter? Have I heard from Peter lately? Unfortunately, no. I hope he's doing okay.
So, what you're looking at, anytime that you're looking at the alien stuff, Smith have gone.
1 second.
What you're looking at, anytime that you're looking at the alien stuff, you immediately find yourself going into the ancient arenas of the occult, and this extends to include, if you're looking at the Egyptian record, so if you're out there actually in Egypt, I'm not talking.
Gamer G says it's always been this stupid in the Republican Party. Proof.
So kick it. Yeah. Now listen up, suckers. Don't get.
Okay, but, like, this isn't stupid in the same way. This is like a silly rap. I'm not talking about the fact that there's a rap going on at Mar-a-Lago. I'm talking about the fact that it's literally a cult leader who ruins the lives of all of his followers, actively engaging in a vanity project in front of the incoming president for ego reasons. It's not doing silly things. It's doing things that by all measures are insane, and, like, the kind of things that, like, insane and narcissistic people do, like, completely irrational, like, people operating entirely off of, like, their mental problems, like, trying to deal with their insecurities. Like, it feels entirely based upon people coping with their insecurities and hurting others to do so. You know what I mean? I don't know how to express what I'm trying to explain. Nemesaur, thank you for gifting 20 tier 1 subs. So generous lately with the subs. Thank you so much.
I'm not talking about what the tourist guides will tell you on the tours, but I'm talking.
Like, it feels like people are wearing their insecurities and mental problems much more on their sleeve, which is not inherently a bad thing if we're to, like, be more open and honest about our insecurities and our issues, but it does not feel like people are doing so in a self-aware way. It just feels like people are coping with their problems much worse and externalizing them onto other people in, like, way more public ways. I don't know. I'm full of shit. I'm just talking.
talking about when you're actually looking, Egypt is going to tell the biblical story at all of the major sites. That's what the walls are preaching to you. And when you're looking at...
Okay, I gotta go back because this guy said something that's pretty funny.
So what you're looking at, anytime that you're looking at the alien stuff, you immediately find yourself going into the ancient arenas of the occult. And this extends to include, if you're looking at the Egyptian record, so if you're out there actually in Egypt, I'm not talking about what the tourist guides will tell you on the tours, but I'm talking about when you're actually looking, Egypt is going to tell the biblical story at all of the major sites. That's what the walls are preaching to you. And when you're looking at the gods of Egypt.
So what he just said, for those that didn't catch that, I will just a peach, sorry, is that when you go to Egypt, the tour guides are going to lie to you. The tour guides are going to lie to you and not tell you the biblical narrative. Whereas he believes if you just yourself look at the walls, they'll tell you the true biblical history. So basically, this guy's a Christian who is trying to say Egyptology and people who study the history of Egypt are bullshit. The Bible's the only real history book. Let's see. Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, you know how at my work it's workers versus the management mentality, but there's a third group of people made of workers that make things bad for normie workers, and that's the people that is MAGA.
Egypt, the ancient gods that they worshipped in these very strange worlds that they had at that time.
He reads hieroglyphics then? I imagine he believes he reads hieroglyphics. If you asked him, does he read hieroglyphics? I would imagine he would give sort of a plodding answer of like, you know, really when you see him, like the Lord, the Spirit speaks to you. Is what I would guess he would say.
You're reading all of their occult practices. They're summonsing practices for summonsing entities.
Summonsing. Not summoning, summonsing.
They come both from the skies and also a lot of it from underneath the ground, and you have levels to these entities. So, and every ancient text on earth is describing entities that exist just outside the realm of your sight. But they can marionette mankind from behind the scenes. The term that we use in English is demons. So you have this angels and demons, and this is how they come out in English. It's not quite that simple because that's how it comes out in English, that you've got one category for the bad guys and one category sort of for the good guys. But all of these things are creations of God, and some portion of them, the spooky things, are things that you're told not to mess with, that you've got this whole world that wants to have leverage over mankind, these little demonic entities. And the truth is that they're actually everywhere, and that all of the things that you were told weren't real are real. And the more that you look at these ancient texts, like if you're reading back in Gilgamesh, you're going to find this character very much like a Bigfoot that is called Enkidu. Enkidu means Enki created. Enkidu. That Gilgamesh is kind of the playboy of the ancient Sumerian world. He's
Gilgamesh and Enkidu at Uruk. Phyllis Filler says, one of the big unanswered psychic questions is the N-titties problem. I feel like that's a clever joke somewhere. Not for whatever discipline I'm in, though. The humanities? Oh god, I hope not.
Right. He comes right after Nimrod, and he comes right after...
Are there Bigfoot sounds playing in the background? There are the approximation of Bigfoot sounds in the background. I don't know what a Bigfoot would sound like.
The son of Nimrod's top guy, if we're reading the Epic of Gilgamesh or the in Merkur and the Lord of Arata, and these different legends that go all the way back, all of which cover the global flood. But at that time, they're reintroducing what we would today call Baal worship, that the Hebrews often got caught up in. And the reason they practice these things is because the occult often produces immediate results, that these things actually are waiting for people to communicate with them. That's what gives them any entrance or authority.
I promise you, as a kid with a lot of problems when I was younger, demons aren't real. If they did, they definitely would have made a deal with me. Look at my influence of several hundred people. Obviously worth selling my soul. Alright, let's see what's next. Oh boy, it's everyone's favorite, Wretched Recess.
Hi everyone, happy 2025, happy new year. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite big band singers. Before I do that though, real quick, in my community post, which I'm sure you guys have noticed, I've been active in the community section. Anytime I see a swirl somewhere, I post it, or like, you know, something
That's normal behavior.
weird.
I'm sure that's not indicative of any mental issue.
But I've been staying in touch that way. But a couple of you said, like, welcome back. I haven't quit this channel. It's been a hot second since I've posted. It was a few months ago where I did the Rainbow Bright ones, but I didn't quit or anything. But if you remember, if you were on my original channel, that channel, I had so much good stuff. My live content was like, you know, it was great. I had really good stuff up there, and YouTube pulled my channel down. So I just don't want to exert a whole ton of energy into something that can get pulled down overnight. I'm happy I got this channel back up, and for the most part, I didn't repost everything, but I lost all of my live content. I was so pissed, but I reposted.
Does she know you can like record your streaming content at the same time you do it, so you have a copy locally as well as online? Like, I don't want to encourage her, if I'm being honest, but I do want to point out, if anyone needs to know this, you can use programs that allow you to record while streaming.
Posted a bunch of the videos, and I've just been laying low because I don't want the channel to get pulled down again. So I haven't like quit or gone anywhere. I'm just not posting as frequently. So thank you guys. I like a lot of you have subscribed after I stopped posting. So I just wanted to like give that background. Like the first channel was pulled down because it was considered conspiracy content, which there's way.
It wasn't just conspiracy content. You were using slurs. Like, as someone who is, you know, the target of some of her stuff, not literally, but like, I'm trans and she obviously doesn't like trans people. I find her content pretty funny. The issue is when you use slurs, ma'am. Just don't use slurs.
Worse stuff on YouTube, and those
OBS can do recording while streaming by itself. Yeah, that's what I use.
Channels are getting.
I don't normally record it because I don't feel the need to, but I can.
Paid for their content, and just FYI, if it's a paid channel and it's conspiracy, those are insiders, guys. Please wake up. Like, I've seen some of you say to those people, oh, don't worry, I'm subscribed to your backup channel and your backup channel. Those people are making money because they're insiders, okay? Which on one hand is great. They're telling us the truth. I mean, they know stuff, but you're also supporting, like, they're probably like rich anyways. Anyways, let's just move on.
Conspiracy theorists hate other conspiracy theorists the most. I think they remind them of themselves.
Welcoming me back, and I'm glad you guys were excited for another video, and I'm looking forward to talking about this singer who nobody in my life has ever mentioned. So have you ever stumbled...
They don't want to be forced to look in the mirror. Who does?
...across like a book or a movie or, you know, anything, a song, an album, and you're like, I've never heard of this before and I freaking love it. That's how it was for me when I discovered Kitty Kallen. I used to think it was Kitty Kallen. It's Kitty Kallen. Like I said, nobody in my life has ever talked about this person, and it was just this discovery. I really like big band era music, and I don't know everything about it. I'm not an expert. Um, when the weather gets cold, I tend to listen to more like jazz and especially like I love big band stuff and I'm still learning, a lot of the artists from that time. But I want to say maybe about
You
7 or
wish
8.
this was her just talking about her bisexual awakening. Unironically, I've talked about this before, but I think that's part of the reason she got into this transvestigation thing. Some of her early videos, which I'm not sure if they're still titled this, but on her original channel, they were called something something girl crush. Ah, yes, girl crush, Creel triplets transvestigation. So she has a series. Well, she'll point at like, people who were girls or teens when she was. Like this one's another one, girl crush. And she goes on to explain, like, oh, I had these crushes on these girls when I was younger, and it turns out it's because they were secretly trans and actually men, air quote, because she's being transphobic. But in reality, it just feels like she's uncomfortable with the fact that she can be attracted to women, so she needs to, like, justify this attraction by making it that secretly they're actually men, but, like, they're not. Even if they were trans, they wouldn't be men, but you know what I mean? Like, to her, in her transphobic mind, it makes it straight if they're trans women. So, it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad that this seems like it has poisoned a lot of her interest. It makes me sad listening to her talking about how she likes big bad music and jazz and how it's clearly poisoning it because she's about to talk about this singer she likes and presumably transvestigate her. Like, I think about my hobbies and the things that I care about, like movies and Blu-rays and stuff. Anna mentions Blu-rays on the bingo card. And I'm just thinking, like, imagine if I had some compulsion like that, some conspiratorial idea that just got trapped in your head like a song you just can't get out, and you couldn't enjoy the things you loved, because every time you tried to, this nonsensical bullshit in the back of your head just starts going, well, what about this? What about this? Gotta be maddening.
8 years ago, I was, just listening to some music and trying to find some new stuff. And I stumbled across some songs by Kitty Callan, and I loved them. I liked her voice. They were just sweet, cute songs, and I really enjoyed them. And let me show you the first photo I ever saw. I was like, oh my gosh, this lady is like absolutely beautiful. I love this whole look. This is so my style. I love that lace top, the hair, the makeup, like everything. If I could be any kind of a singer, I feel like I would want to be a jazz singer, like this big band.
Like the anti-woke people? Yeah, that's another example. They become hyper-focused on like one specific thing that they deem to be like antithetical to their own personal identities, and they find it offensive that it ever contacts like the media that they like or ostensibly like.
Era, they're just classy and the songs are sassy. It's just a fun, really good vibe. I love it. But yeah, this is Kitty Callan if you're not familiar. And I'm sorry to break your heart, but things are going to take a turn here, as they should on this channel. This is a great photo, and I'm willing to bet I discovered her before, maybe not before I knew about like all the transvestigation stuff and celebrity, all of that stuff. But it was probably like right around that time. But lately I've been thinking like, oh gosh, like big band era, jazz music, even all of those people, it's probably all the same, and this could probably be an entire series. But let's take some...
Like, I don't understand. Like, imagine in her worldview, she is thinking that in the 1930s, there are like a ton of trans women existing, presumably at least pseudo-openly, as far as she's concerned, open within whatever esoteric secret community she thinks she's a part of. Like, in her view of the world, being trans wouldn't be this odd thing that was so othering within society. You know what I mean? She talks about this like... How do I explain this? It's like with Hans Wormhat. It's this belief that secretly everyone is trans and there's all these secret trans people, but for some reason it's still a cultural taboo. It's like they don't understand that there isn't anything essential about being trans that makes it taboo. It's the cultural context. So if the cultural context was the one in which you believe most people or a large plurality of people are secretly trans, then where is the stigma coming from? Because it's no longer coming from the cultural context. Like, they don't understand.
Let's take a look. I'm getting sleepy. Let's take a look at some photos of Kitty Kallen. Her career started in the 1930s and ended like early 60s, I
They
believe.
think being trans is evil, satanic. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to illustrate, is they don't understand that, like, the shame and social stigma around being trans are not essential elements of transness. It's the cultural context that others that makes it such. You know what I mean?
They were saying like rock and roll came in and kind of like, you know, wiped out her whole thing, her whole genre. So yeah, let's take a look. And like if you're younger or whatever and you're not familiar with big band at all, it's a type of music ensemble
Ma'am, I've seen The Mask.
associated with jazz and swing era.
There was like a 6-month period in the 90s where big band music and swing was so hot, and then it went away, and everyone pretended it never happened. Just a Peach with a $1 tip says, Kitty Kallen died in 2016. It's grating on my nerves that she keeps saying jazz and big band as if they're the same thing and happened at the same time.
Music.
I just did the same thing, thus annoying you further. Sorry.
Big band is also called like a jazz orchestra. I don't know, like I'm still learning too, so I wanted to make sure I'm saying the right stuff because I'm making this video. So Kitty, which that name is a little bit of a red flag, I have to say. The name
Wait, why?
Kitty kind of sounds like, you know, like a drag performer. Let's just be honest. Kitty Kallen.
I mean, it's her showbiz name. That is also a name that was more common in the past, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's like her showbiz name.
She was born in 1921, and she just passed away like...
her name was Katie. Okay, yeah, so she changed it for showbiz. Not uncommon now or at the time.
Last 10 years, 2016. And they never say like what kind of singer she is. Like I said, I thought she was like a jazz singer, but she's considered like a big band singer, but I guess it falls under the jazz umbrella. Correct me if I'm wrong. Someone needs to make a documentary. I think she has a really interesting life story. Listen to this. It says that Kitty lost her voice at the London Palladium in 1955 at the top of her career. And somewhere else, like I think on YouTube, I read that, or I watched a video that said she literally got like stage fright and lost her voice and just like couldn't sing. And she stopped singing before an audience for 4 years. And then she started testing her voice under a pseudonym in small town venues, which is like, that would make such a fun like movie. I feel like that would be like a really cool documentary. But then she returned and then went on.
You mean biopic? It's a little late for a documentary. These events happened 70 years ago.
To achieve.
Sorry, I'm being. You know what she meant, Hannah. Don't be a little shit.
13 top 10 hits.
She said the wrong word. Must attack. Must make joke.
So that's fun. And like check out her music if you've never
my
heard
problem.
it. You can find it on like Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, but it's great. I love her songs. I don't want to pick on Kitty Kallen because I am a fan, but we've got to take a look at some photos. In this one, what stood out to me was like a very strong kind of like jaw there. And again, that forehead is kind of sus. And this arm, she has very masculine hands. And There are some live performances here on YouTube. I will pull some of them up where she's hiding her arms and hands because they're very not feminine. Now, anything I say here is purely speculation.
Is it weird to say that as a trans woman, it makes me feel somewhat better watching transphobes, in particular transphobic women, looking at pictures of cis women and transvestigating them? Is that weird that that makes me feel better? Because it makes me go like, oh, you're just obsessive and kind of like need help. You know what I mean? Helps me see some of the transphobia as more irrational, as more their fucking problem and not so much my fucking problem.
I'm not stating facts. And honestly, with Kitty, there's not a ton of things that like jump out. I haven't seen an Adam's apple. Her shoulders, like, even though they're pretty solid or sturdy looking there.
Can't remember what I used to look and sound like. Oh, I have a bit that's so mean to myself, I won't do it.
Her shoulders don't look...
I can do the voice bit, though. Remember when I used to talk like this? I don't even know if I can do the voice right anymore. I don't even think that sounds right. Remember when I used to do videos and I used to intentionally sound like this, and this was what my voice sounded like? A little better.
Much wider than the hips. We will take a look at other photos, but there's some...
The face will be more difficult to undo. That's like 3 or 4 years of fat redistribution of hormones. I can't just flick that on and off.
In my opinion, some masculine traits. Did I already show this one with the male gaze? Like, that's like deep set eyes and a hard male stare, and the brow ridge right there, and the hair.
I can't, like this is what she thinks a brow ridge is? Lady, I've had dysphoria about my fucking brow ridge since before you were born. And you think that this pretty lady from the 1930s has a prominent brow ridge? Jesus Christ, it's just insanity all the way down.
Hairline is very, very masculine. This is the second time I'm filming this because I'm really tired, and the first one, like, I just kept like stumbling on my words, but I can't remember if I showed this time. My grandpa had a very similar hairline. Like, he had all of his hair like until the day he died pretty much, but his hairline looked like this with that like thinning part right there. But see how that's like so round?
It's just what her hairline looks like. Like, it's just like, I don't...
a male.
Makes me feel a little better about myself, though. Again, man, this is selfish. I am selfishly using this Transvestigation video to make me feel good.
Hairline. Let me know what you think. And again, the brow ridge and deep set eyes. Wide apart eyes, too. Big teeth. Big mouth. As the years go on, like so many of the others, things get a little more obvious, but you have to keep watching. I have a photo shoot you're not gonna believe, and that's the one where I was just like, not you, Kitty. Like, I can't believe it. Yeah, this one just looks, you know, again, that hairline, the big stare. I want to get to this photo shoot. 1 second. And like I said, I'm not stating any facts. I mean,
Yeah, the brow ridge thing fucks me up, Amber. I don't get it. I don't get how she could say this lady has a brow ridge.
I could be wrong, but this one is not.
Do me a favor, though, and take one of those circular sander things and just put it on my face right here and don't stop until I say stop.
The most feminine looking thing I've ever seen. And I really hate when beautiful brunettes, I don't care what you are, girl, boy, it, they, them, whatever. I don't like when beautiful brunettes...
Feels like you do care. It feels like you care a lot. It's like your whole channel is trying to point out people you secretly think are a different gender than they express, or a different sex than the gender they express.
Have to lighten their hair, and like, this doesn't even look good. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes brunettes just look so attractive as brunettes, and then they like lighten their hair and it just ruins it.
Maybe it's none of your business. What in the world? Do you think other people's appearance exists to serve your interests? What in the world? Why does she have the attitude of, like, a MGTOW guy? Am I crazy? Like, she's talking like one of the people we would cover on, like, Chud Watch. Like, she's talking like an I word. Very weird.
In my opinion.
Yeah, like she's talking like this lady's there for her visual pleasure. Very strange. I don't normally, like, I know women are also capable of being like, misogynistic, but like, very strange hearing a woman objectify a woman sexually to this extent, and not like in a fun tee-hee way, like in a quite sexist objectifying way.
And
the closeted bisexual gays.
That's the case here. Like, you are...
we don't, Gamer G. The line disappeared, so we stopped having that space.
Very attractive brunette. What is this? Carrot-colored hair. It's so bad. See what I mean? Like, so pretty with the dark hair. Sultry. Is that even her? There's some photos of her in the photo shoot I'm talking about with Doris Day, who that kind of looks like. I don't know if that jumped in here by accident, but those are not female fingers.
What? What do you mean? Yes, they are. Look at them. Look at those fingers. They're on her and she's female. What the fuck?
This picture is just like so creepy to me. I don't like it. It's weird. And this is like a gorgeous photo, like the dress and the hair and the makeup, but like, I don't know, guys, when you really look at it, that hard stare is just, whew, you can see it.
Just a peach with $1 tip says, my mom told stories about how the dark-haired kids in the 50s would bleach their hair. It would be orange for months. They gotta go for that loose sail ball
That's
look.
another like totally creepy one to me. It's very bizarre. I don't like it. And in the live performances, she makes some really scary faces, like wide eye, almost like you would say like this person has crazy eyes. Like I'm going to pull up some of these YouTube videos here in a second. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this one, this Little Things Mean a Lot. That's a good song, but like here is a crazy eye example. Like, yeah, creepy photo. I'm sorry. I do not like this. Look at that hairline. That is not a feminine hairline.
What? She just... What are you talking about? It is, though, because she's a lady. I get it. The eyes look creepy in the photo, but, like, what is she talking about?
Okay, so the entire reason I'm making this video is
how many photos of this lady does she have on her computer?
Because a little while back, I stumbled across this photo shoot of Kitty Callan with Doris Day, and it literally just looks like two men romping around the city in skirts.
Does it? What in the world?
And it
doesn't at all. What is she seeing here?
So disturbing. So I'm just going to show you
They just
guys
like two women in the 50s or early 60s.
These photos, and you can come to your own conclusions, but they must have told them to like pose their legs.
Let me tell you, if this is what being a man looked like, I probably wouldn't have been so uncomfortable being one.
A certain way and stand a certain way, but you're gonna see some very masculine
just a couple of bros hanging out on the fence in our cute skirts, in our cute bro skirts.
Bodies, and just I cannot believe this fooled anybody. I hate this picture because I feel like there's some symbolism going on, like the way...
Oh, what? This tree? I see you. This tree is obviously supposed to be a stand-in for your large cock. Is she gonna say that? I said that sarcastically because that's the stupidest thing you could say. Is she going to say that this tree is their penis? Is this tree their penis?
Like the tree trunk is, I don't know. It's
I knew it!
Super weird. We haven't.
You're begging me to never do that voice again? I'll think about it.
Doris Day.
I'm being requested elsewhere also to stop doing the voice. Chat, if you're uncomfortable with that voice, imagine how uncomfortable I was having to do it every day since puberty! On some level, it feels like I'm dispersing the pain, you know? Like I'm pawning off my dysphoria on others. Does that make you uncomfortable? Welcome to my brain.
At all.
That's how it feels being in my body all the time.
Ever on this channel, but there's like the fingers are interlaced. We've talked about that. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but this is like such a creepy photo shoot, and Kitty Callan looks masculine in pretty much all of the pictures. Like,
I really don't understand what her definition of masculinity is. Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, when I see a person, I'm like, howdy, not, oh, hey, you got a dick? Yeah, the latter is considered a dick move in most countries.
Just like a man with makeup on. It's so disappointing. Like, what the fuck is this? I'm so sorry for the language, but when I first came across this picture, I'm like, you are literally two dudes in heels and skirts. Like, what are we doing right now? Like, why? Who stands like that? I don't know any women that stand like this. Look at, like, those legs. And, like, kind of masculine jackets. Were the shoulder pads necessary, or are those
Oh, that's the style of the time. Shoulder pads for women have gone in and out of style several times. This was like the late 50s, early 60s shoulder pads fad. It came back in the 90s as well.
Their shoulders? It's so weird. Notice in the background, I feel like they're in front of these like phallic, you know, like the symbolism, like the erect buildings are kind of like...
You know how every building is a dick, right? Look at these erect, throbbing, sweaty buildings they're posing in front of. What, you're supposed to be in front of those buildings and I'm not supposed to think about... Okay, bit over. The point is, if you're looking around and you're seeing dicks everywhere, I promise we're not just hiding dicks. The world is not the Where's Waldo of cock. We are not hiding dicks from you. If you are seeing dicks everywhere, that's a you problem.
Like penises, I feel like it might be on purpose because nothing in these photo shoots ever seem to be a coincidence or by chance. So between the tree trunk and like this phallic symbolism, I feel like it's just a big joke.
What about Where's Waldo's cock? That's very insensitive. Wally has been on the NIH waiting list for bottom surgery for 6 years.
I can't stand this. Like,
that joke's funny because Where's Waldo is actually from the UK and called Wally in the UK. And the second part of the joke is funny because in the UK, if you want bottom surgery, you got to get on the NIH watch list, and it's, or not watch list, wait list, and it's very long. You'll be waiting a very long time for your various gender-affirming care surgeries. End of joke explainer.
and back in the day, what are they like? Oh, look at these sexy ladies, and like, look at the, you know, it has to be posed right in front of these, twin tower looking things because like
9/11 out of nowhere on the bingo card. Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, do you think the pee drinkers walk around fantasizing about what every stranger's pee tastes like? I hope not. I saw a video a few months ago rather, where someone they just put a cup somewhere and someone peed in it and they picked up the pee cup and they drank it. So someone does. I guess there are people out there who just want to drink stranger pee. Doesn't seem healthy.
Just men in skirts.
Altfact says, what? I didn't explain it very well. Someone had placed a cup somewhere in a corner hoping someone would pee in it, and then someone did pee in it, and then they drank the pee when that person walked away.
What?
Ashley One Up says, the waiting list currently up to 10 years. I'm coming up on 5, damn it. Oh, I thought 5 was a comical exaggeration. That sucks.
What is even happening? Like, why was this necessary? Again, it has to be in front of those buildings. Kind of just looks like a man with like 20 pounds of makeup on, right? Oh my God. Look at, like, I don't know, the legs and just like the way they're standing. It's so stupid. Ugh. That's even like scarier in color version. Colorized. I just don't know how our grandparents like fell for all of this stuff. But then again, this is all like way, 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 way before the internet or anything like that. And all they had as far as celebrities were like, if it wasn't on live TV, you have like book and magazine pictures where the lighting and the makeup and everything is very strategic. But I can't believe they allowed these photos to be shown anywhere, because these are like so obvious to me. So yeah, I just really wanted to share this photo shoot. And now let's look at a couple of the YouTube videos. Now in her photos from like, especially the earlier years, she looks very pretty, but like in some of these live performances, I don't want to say, like, I'm not trying to insult anyone. I don't want to say creepy, but the eye, like, just, you'll see what she does with her eyes, and some of her movements are just very weird. And you just get like a kind of a...
Altered Undying says, my mother used to do historical costuming, so it's like the style, like Regency men have better legs than me.
strange vibe. And also her voice, she does that whole like high-pitched whispery thing, just like a man just, you know, imitating, just trying to pretend.
Are you talking about, there's a particular way that actresses and singers at the time, young women performers or women performers in general, were meant to convey a certain persona, and the soft, infantilizing voice was a part of that. So, like, it wouldn't surprise me if she is putting on some sort of affect, but it's not a trans thing. It's, she needs an image, and she's working in entertainment thing.
Yeah, whatever. Hold on. This is kind of blurry, but, like, the arms and hands are actually pretty terrifying. They're very, very masculine. Kitty Kellen sings on Colgate Comedy Hour, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. This, if you just look that up on YouTube, that's where I'm at right now. This is one of the performances where there's a lot of creepy eye stuff going on. When you pause in certain spots, it's just like scary. I feel like that skirt is very strategic, like to give it bigger hips, like to create that illusion of the hourglass.
Is she under the impression that only trans women wear clothes to accentuate specific features? I just realized, like, does she know that, like, it's a part of women's fashion that certain items will accentuate certain areas of your body, your hips or your bust or whatever? That's not only a trans thing. That's a general thing in fashion, is accentuating different parts of your body, usually surrounding secondary sexual characteristics in the case of women. Hips, again, like breast area, stuff like that. Getting like an hourglass figure or other shapes of figures, but like that's the stereotypical one. Like that's not a cis or a trans thing. That's just a general fashion thing to give your body a certain shape with the clothing. Does she know that? Ashley One Up says, it was 3 years when I entered the list. Then the Tories started an anti-trans stance and it rose to 6. Then they started gutting the NHS and it rose to 10. Even though we have a Labour government now, they have shown no signs of reversing those decisions. Fuck the UK. Man, it really seems like everything is going to shit and a bunch of rich narcissistic monsters are reaping all of the benefits of gutting our societies for the detriment of everyone except the richest few. Anyway, funny, silly internet times.
Figure. So yeah, that was something I noticed there with that poofy skirt. Are those pearls? I'll never forget when I first started this channel, one of you guys, a couple of you, several of you, told me about the meaning of pearls and why we see so many like male to females wearing those, because oysters, you know, and the pearls, it symbolizes like androgynous.
It does? Since when? What? What? Is this lady trying to explain something that is like isn't true? Like, is she trying to say, secretly trans women wear pearls and there's this secret meeting? I'm one of those. I'm a trans woman. What secret meaning? What? This didn't come up at the last meeting. What are you talking about?
Something with the oysters, like changing sexuality. I forget. We talk about it in my Flintstones video that is still up on this channel. There's a better explanation of it there, but it symbolizes like the whole androgynous thing. But yeah, I thought that was another giveaway that she's wearing these pearls, and there's that manly hairline and the brow ridge and the big mouth and the deep set eyes. And if this photo didn't totally ruin your day, or like you're about to have nightmares, because I'm sorry, that is a pretty scary photo.
Thanks, Ashley. One up.
The
Glad to hear
smoking
it.
gun for me is always the old age pictures, so check this out.
Altered Undying says, pearls are my favorite gemstone. There are legends about them being the tears of, I believe, Greek gods, and in China, they fall when dragons fly through the sky.
Oof. It's giving B. Arthur. It's giving...
Wait, what's wrong with B. Arthur? Fuck you! Don't insult B. Arthur! Fuck you!
Barbara Bush, Aleister Crowley, Barbara Bush. It's giving all kinds of man in makeup, like...
I get the vibe that she's maybe not oh boy. This lady's gonna have real problems as she ages. Like, everyone ages. It's not fun, but everyone's gonna do it. And I get the feeling that she has some really negative ideas about parts of aging that involve maybe being less stereotypically feminine than they were in their youth. She's gonna have problems. Amber says, you mean society is falling apart because the motivations of the 1% are fundamentally opposed to those of the common folk? I feel like some German guy wrote something about that a little over a century ago.
Oh my gosh, they never look like women the older they get, and this is just like so freaking terrifying. I can't. Yeah, this is such a gorgeous photo. Is that Kitty Callan? It comes up with her pictures. Should I leave you with this, or should we look at more old age pictures? Oh my gosh, I forgot to show this one. This, I guess, is from a single or an album or whatever, but that just looks like a man in a skirt, suit, whatever, sitting on a...
Gamer G says, have chuds and conspiracy theorists been dropping content about Biden giving George Soros and Hillary Clinton presidential medals of freedom? I feel like if they haven't yet, it could fill a whole stream. I bet they're losing their minds. I've not seen anything about the presidential medals of freedom. I've seen some of them get pissed off about commuting death sentences to become life sentences. But that's mostly what I've seen recently.
Park bench, like, look at the face here. And the low key, is that like a devil horn low key right there?
Oh, that's a hand.
It's always something, but yeah, the color photos are really bad. They're really scary. All of the black and white ones are so nice, but I hate this picture. It's super creepy. I think that's more pearls. This would have been like a very good looking young man. And like I said, I'm not stating any.
She's attracted to her, so it must be a man. Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, it's fun to age. The people who scare me are the ones who are trying to resist the inevitable.
Anything one way or another.
I think I'd feel better about aging if I felt I didn't start my life at 25. Haven't really gotten a lot of... never mind.
Just looking at photos and just kind of speculating. All right, guys, I'm struggling to find any other old age photos than this, but I want to thank you for watching. I feel like I'm a little rusty. I haven't done this in a while, so if you made it till the end, thank you. I've got to show this again because it's just too good not to. There's a cartoon my next video will be a cartoon that I cannot find the episode that I saw years ago that, like, it'll knock you out. There's so much symbolism in it, and this whole series is on Tubi or something, so when I have time, I've been going through it just trying to find the correct episode. But anyways, yeah, I'm getting tired. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. And gosh, these big band era and these jazz singers could probably be a whole entire series, but I'm trying to lay low. I don't want this channel to get pulled down again, so I'm not posting super frequently, but I felt inspired to come
Frequency isn't the issue, it's the slurs, ma'am. How do you not understand?
On here, and a lot of you
She gonna
guys...
start transvestigating cartoons now? That's how she started. You might not have seen, but when we first started watching her, like, that's how we got into her, is she's transvestigating cartoons.
Who are here now.
She transvestigated the Flintstones. The fucking Flintstones.
Subscribed after my last video, and I haven't done anything.
Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones. It's the modern Stone Age HRT from
3 months. So I just wanted to give you an explanation, but I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching. And I'll see you when I see you. Thanks for enjoying the channel. Okay, bye-bye.
All right. I think that's enough conspiracy stuff for the day, don't you think? So, thanks everyone for hanging out. I appreciate it. We have a ton of stuff that we still didn't cover. Ooh, we only got to like a third of the things I pulled up for the day. Sorry, I was in kind of a weird mood today. I don't know. Feeling weird. Love you too, Mr. Blast. I will see you tomorrow, I think. What's today? Tuesday? Yep, I'll be back tomorrow. Not sure exactly what we'll be doing, but it'll be something. Let's see who we're going to raid here on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor and like the stream. I'd appreciate it. If you haven't already, if you're on YouTube and you like what you see, subscribe. We stream all the time. And if you're on Twitch, give me a follow. We stream almost every day. Cover strange delusional beliefs, weird stuff on the internet. Just whatever. Whatever tickles the fancy, you know? Okay. Let's see.
Stuff and like car merch.
PC Archives up too. Sure. Star Trek, why not? Alright, have a great night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. And have a great night. I'm gonna go make some pizza. Bye, everyone.